while to get reappointed.
Yeah, there we go. Now I actually hear some stuff. And I think we're going to be back to where... Hi, everybody. Sorry. And why is it like... Okay, my camera... What's the thing? What is the up with this thing? The exposure should be automatic. Take a second. Should automatic and then compensating. Whoops, that's too much. That should be about right, I think. Okay, finally. Excellent. All right. Phew! The stuff I go through. And I think I blame Rumble. Like anytime I'm a little echoey. Really? Really? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? All right, let's try this again. Hang on tight. Hit that like. Join me till I get a real studio one day. All right, here we are. This dipshit's. Let's pretend COVID didn't happen. Graph
Was complicit in keeping interest rates at zero and keeping quantitative easing too long, pouring gasoline on the inflation.
Okay, by the way, Donald Trump wanted negative interest rates. Let's just be about. And by the way, he's still wants to do it.
Fire, and now we're stuck with this.
Wait, okay? So let's see. Why would that be? Why would you guys hear a slapback? I can't imagine why. Yes, is it a slapback echo or is it just the room? It's not that bad. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be anything at all. Very strange. Okay, properties. We're going to check on something. We're going to go back down here to the streaming thing. And the voicemail is going to be 1. And, okay. That seems to be a single out. Why would that be? Why? Is this? Oh, maybe this. Oh, maybe I know what this is. Maybe. Did it go? Yeah, monitor off. That's right. Okay. Well, let's see. Let's go. All right, but hopefully it won't be too bad. Sounds fine. Okay. Might just be the digital gremlins again. I won't touch it. Thank you, Triva. Okay.
Got to choke the economy while all the inflation that's there. Sure, the rate of inflation has reduced, but
yes, it is.
That's the rate of inflation growth. That's on top of all of the inflation that people have had.
Yes, we went through COVID. We know.
Endure.
It's supply
shock. When you get your
shock.
Grocery bill, or when you go shopping for auto insurance, all of these things that people are suffering with. This is okay. A slower
auto insurance. Pay close attention to this motherfucker and how he talks about stuff. First of all, median house price up because size of house up. Medium house price up because of large, like BlackRock level companies, Pulte, America West, all these companies that are around especially the Southwest, building tracts of giant homes, more square footage, all that shit, and the square footage itself is fancier schmancier. Now, see if you guys can spot why this guy seems to think people's insurance is going up. Now, it's probably Biden's fault, but I'm not quite sure how.
Rate of change, but that's an additional increase on top of what you're enduring. So it's not good. And Kimberly, one just last important thing here is that you bring up such a wonderful point on how
it's wonderful
housing. And while, yes, it's great to do it, but what's the alternative? Because I did a comparison and I went kind of deep on this, Kimberly. So on that $212 a square foot.
Oh, this is going to get really dumb really quick too.
If you don't buy a home, well, if you're going to live with mom and dad, that's one thing. But if you're not going to live with your mom and dad, not going to be the 40-year-old virgin, and you're going to go out there and try and rent somewhere, well, the renting picture's no picnic either. I did an exact comparison, Kimberly, and I said, what's the median rent? It's a 999 square foot home at $1,780 a month. Well, guess what? If you took that home, that a square foot on a home to buy it, and you put just 5% down, go with the mortgage insurance, the taxes, and everything, the payment is within $11 of buying or renting. So
right, that whole 5% down is the thing. Because a lot of people would do 2 mortgages. They would get a mortgage on the cost of the house and on the down. So they could give 5% of the 5%, right? And that's the point. That's why most people rent, is because they don't have that nut.
Renting is no...
And because money is hard to come by and people don't have piles of it they're fucking sitting on like this asshole thinks.
So picked as expensive as buying is, so is renting. So
right. But renting, you just need first and last. You don't need 5% of the overall cost of the fucking house.
You may as well, if it's possible.
Yeah, that would be the thing then. That would be the thing, where if it's possible,
Bite the bullet, buy the home, and take advantage of it.
So it's still a good investment, is what you're saying. Thanks, Joe Biden.
It's just really unbelievable. I know it pains you too, because
She was not paying attention to any of that, I would like to say. I don't believe she heard a fucking word he said.
always are giving people advice on how to succeed and to have financial independence and really.
Yeah, he's the guy behind the raging success that Rock of Ages was. Let's take a bunch of rock songs that everybody really loves and dumb them down and have them sung in a Broadway style, devoid of all the emotion that was originally there.
You know, what the market.
Other than that, I have no opinion.
It's mean
And by the way, I would do it in a fucking heartbeat, but my performance of those songs would be, I'm just saying. Yes, I would make a kick-ass Stacey Jacks. I'm just saying.
Especially as it relates to the housing market as well. So now just another point, Barry, all of the top economists in the United States and
all of them. Yeah. Jonathan Turley, Greg Jarrett.
You are the one who has delivered accurate forecast after forecast on the direction of the real estate market. Can you give us sort of a lay of the land on where the market goes from here? And of course, a lot of it is based on different geopolitical events here and abroad and all.
Yeah. House prices in the United States are going up directly because of the lack of apartments in Gaza. What the fuck?
All of the above.
So a lot has to do with interest rates. Now, the Fed keeps talking about inflation, but it is my humble opinion, in looking at the numbers and modeling them out, while they want a 2% target, I think it's very difficult to get there by the end of the year.
Oh, wait. Remember that. Because wait till he removes housing, which is a supply and demand issue, and auto insurance, and he tells you what actual inflation is right now. It's so fucking choice, and then we'll move on.
I don't see a path to that.
I don't see a path to 2%, 2 to 3% inflation, which is where we are already.
Now, something could change. I could be wrong, but
you already are.
Appears to me that we'll be between 2.75% and 3%, which is virtually no progress from the 2.8% that we're at right now. So I don't think we make any progress there. It's not because
we were at 9% because of coming out of COVID and the supply shock involved. We were at 9%.
Because inflation is roaring, but it's hard to get to 2% inflation, especially because
especially when you're Donald Trump and you have every fucking tailwind you could possibly fucking want. Oh, thank you, Jerry. I don't have a Kimberly sighting warning. I should.
Components, motor vehicle insurance, and you have shelter, which is rents and owner's equivalent rent. Home.
Okay, listen to this. Back up real quick. Listen to this again.
It's hard to get to 2% inflation, especially because two main components, motor vehicle insurance, and you have shelter, which is rents and owner's equivalent rent. Home prices don't factor in, interestingly enough. Those two components make up everything that's been inflationary. In fact, if you took up just those two things, inflation would be at 0.27%. Zero.
This motherfucker. Did you guys hear that? If you took out auto insurance and housing, rent specifically, the rise in rent. And by the way, if you factor into the rising rents, the fact that people moved into bigger places, people who rented specifically, who don't go to an office anymore post-COVID and wanted a slightly bigger place so that, again, they could rent an apartment with an office, which overall limited an even smaller stock of apartments in that size. If you take those two things out, inflation is 0.02%. And by the way, do you think Joe Biden or anyone in the administration or anyone in the fucking government has any control over the supply of houses, which is entirely fucking local, or the cost of car insurance? Now, there's a couple of reasons why car insurance can go up. One is you're a fucking maniac and you keep speeding and crashing and buying, another car and somehow getting away with it and and that you've got a terrible record. And so everywhere you go for insurance, it just gets higher and higher. And the either the vast majority of Americans, and oh God, this fucking pissed me off. The vast majority of Americans suddenly became shittier drivers on a scale that defies logic, or everybody took the seed money that they were getting during COVID when they were stuck at home, and a bunch of them went, you know, the one thing I could do is get a new car. A new used car in particular. That's why, remember how used car prices went up? Because everybody was like, the one thing I can do right now is upgrade my car. And with things like Carvana, they can deliver it to the house. It's one of the few things I can actually do so that when we get out of this shit, I'll come away with a better car. I've got $2,000 in my hand that I could use to seed a car, which is a down payment on a car is not bad, especially if you're, you know, if you were driving a jalopy in the first fucking place. So everybody went for, who had a $6,000 car got a $10,000 car, and that made them go to it made it easier for them to go to work or go to the store, go out, all that kind of stuff, which is where everybody's going because restaurants this year had their greatest financial year in American history. And transportation is part of that. Okay, this motherfucker. If you take out car insurance and you take out the rise in rent, and again, cut that against the people like BlackRock who own apartment buildings and they own commercial real estate. And commercial real estate, surprise, surprise, has taken a giant fucking shit over the last 2 years because nobody's going into the office anymore. Anybody who can work from home still is. So the same people that they're losing their fucking shirt on business buildings downtown all over the country, and so they're raising rents on the people living at home and trying to even that out. Fucking supply and demand. What an asshole.
0.27%. That's everything else. So it's really
everything else. Groceries, everything. 0.02%. 0.02%.
just shelter and motor vehicle insurance, and shelter lags. It's a long time before you see it. And motor vehicle insurance, well, where's the relief there?
Yeah, so here it comes, and then we're going to bail out of this.
You can't stop, if the Fed hikes rates, you can't stop theft. You can't stop these fender benders, which all the technology in your front bumper between GPS and between park assist and between the lane assist.
And there you have it. Poor people getting nicer cars. You motherfuckers. You absolute bastards. Americans, what is wrong with you? Why in the shit are you going out and buying cars that are safer? That keep you safer? Yeah, all these safety features. That's exactly right, Rob Glenn. Exactly right. How dare you ask? You're supposed to drive a tin rusty piece of shit because you're a broke motherfucker. How dare you have like warning sensors or a backup camera? You don't have that kind of money to have a backup camera, you impoverished prick. What an asshole. He can't even, I don't know what the fuck she's looking at, but you can't even lay that at Biden's feet. He's literally making the case I just made, that people bought slightly better cars.
If you have a fender bender and you just tap your bumper, it's $3,000.
Which is, yeah, thanks, Joe Biden. You know?
So this is what's causing motor vehicle insurance prices to rise so dramatically.
Okay, so people have fancier cars, and that's making overall motor vehicle insurance in aggregate more expensive across the country. The giant volume spread, not on the individual anecdotal being what it is. That's what. And then the other part of it is housing market, which is about building, and they can only build so fast and so much. So fuck off. They're trying to lay this at Biden's feet, and he literally said none of the stuff. Two things that Biden has no control over are driving, 98% of inflation. He's not even going to like gas prices and energy because that's come down. Fuck even the the Saudis tapped out. You get my point. This is the chat room. I got to tell you, this is a level of dumb that it's fucking spectacular. I got to say. Now, usually, let's see if we can find this shit. Where is it? There. Is it in here? Yeah. Now, how, let's see. How do you, by the way, hit that like, let people know we're here because I had to jump back on and it's always screwy and I'm starting a little earlier than usual. And obviously, during the summer, we're going to start the Thursday show at 3 o'clock, if that's cool with everybody. When I can get online. So, you're asking, how can you out stupid Kimberly Guilfoyle and her random fuck in conflation expert? Well, I think I've got an ass up my sleeve, or rather, two of them. Pretty close. It was good. It was pretty close. But yeah, these two dickheads sit down together. Now, again, this is fucking like an hour or something, and they're sitting down and they do this thing, and this is them.
Thank you for joining me for a very special live show.
Yeah, I don't know why it's very special. First of all, Don Jr. is not a difficult get, I would like to say. Secondly, I think you were both traveling in South America. You both went down there, or is he in Florida, wherever that was? Because he was just down in South America. Don Jr. was shooting, some sort of like, I don't know, a nearly extinct form of parakeet from a long way off. So this is the two of these dickheads sitting here.
Today, Stay Free with Russell Brand is streaming live from the home of Donald Trump Jr.
And who better to have a weirdly odd podcast named after a panty liner from the 80s as our guest than Don Jr., his father's own panty liner, if you will.
Junior, thank you so much for joining us, sir.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
For the first 15 minutes, we will be streaming widely, available everywhere. Even with the constant obstacles to free speech, we will speak freely. But after that first 15, we'll be exclusively available on Rumble, the joint...
I am. Listen, I think I was the second...
By the way, this whole thing is on YouTube. I don't know if they forgot to throw a switch or they just posted it later.
The second verified user on Rumble after Bongino.
Bongino was verified, then you were verified.
Yeah, well, it was right when all of that
That's because you're business partners to the fucking thing. It wasn't an accident.
stuff happened with, Twitter 1.0, where all of a sudden they canceled the president of the United States, and I had a large following there, and I said, wait a second, this could disappear in 2 seconds. You could see what was going on. And reached out with Dan, started talking with Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO, and I was on there and have been there ever since. It's arguably the only, true
They paid to bring you over.
free speech video platform. You've experienced what YouTube.
No, you are not. Look, I'm glad you guys don't have full-on Nazi rallies on there, but you come damn close.
will do, and the manipulation there, and so I thought it was such an important thing to do and to support. That's why.
Yeah, really groundbreaking shit coming from Don Jr. Have you done Have you done an episode where you whine about your dad's legal problems yet? Because I feel like that's an untapped vein in the gold mine of ideas.
I'm here, and that's my home.
Also resident in this home, in this house, and on Rumble is Kim Guilfoyle, who will be joining us in a minute. Also,
Yeah, she's ordering us pies on Postmates, which is like she's like Tradwife 2.3 beta.
although not simultaneously, for numerous reasons, mostly technical, but also social, we feel like we'll have conversations successively.
We're all talkers.
Yeah.
So we could have an interview of just everyone talking simultaneously, and no one will be able to hear anything. So.
Don't threaten me with a good time. I gotta say that sounds like an improvement.
Yeah. What I like about this conversation, so if you're watching us on YouTube,
And what I love about this conversation is it really hasn't been about anything yet.
there'll be a link up in about 15 minutes, and you'll have to click the link and follow us over to Rumble, and hopefully...
Yeah, not gonna happen.
If you permit me, Don, we'll be staying live on Local, so become an awakened wonder and join us there, where we will be
Well, we'll be avoiding my sexual assault allegations entirely while we blame the world's problems on people who just showed up.
smoking cigars freely together,
Yes.
discussing subjects as varied and vast as masculinity, liberty, freedom, and what revolution, and indeed
By the way, have anybody noticed how quickly his newfound Christianity, he was just baptized allegedly, that just went straight into the fucking dustbin?
insurrection means in the modern world. Don, thank you very much for having a conversation that just a few short years ago would have seemed...
By the way, do you mind me putting my nasty hippie feet on your white cushions? Is Kim gonna get mad?
impossible. We've only met one...
By the way, Kim is not her name, okay? She has a full name. She goes by Burley to her friends.
before at the Rumble launch in Sarasota, and I remember then thinking, wow, I'm moving into a different environment now. I'm having
Yeah, so good. You know, I was in Hollywood where people actually watched my shit, and now I'm on a derivative Craigslisty right-wing video site. Sort of.
conversations with people from the Trump family, people from a different world.
Yeah. Oh, the cast of A Different World was there? Now you're talking. If you could just get the, like, I guess the surviving members of Different Strokes would be,
In your case, an outdoor hunting, fishing person. According to your Wikipedia page, as of today, you were still involved in a Russiagate hoax.
Yes.
In a way, this conversation couldn't have happened 5 years ago because I occupied an entirely different world. And it's a miracle that it can even
what, you mean England?
still happen today to some degree because we live in such heavily censored and controlled spaces. Right.
Yeah, agree. And nothing says censored and controlled like broadcasting a live stream on 3 different platforms from a room made entirely of windows with a fucking American flag in the background where no one is interrupting what's going on. Nothing says, censored and kept down like a bright, airy, open room where anybody who even looked in the window could see what is going on.
What do you think it means when people from different cultural pockets find themselves allying on the basis that now...
I think they call it DEI. I don't want to scare you, but I think it's diversity, equity, and inclusion is usually... Which, as I recall, both of you are soundly against.
Now, there is so much freedom, there is so much, impediment to freedom, so much censorship,
Yeah, so many, yeah. A little Freudian slip there, dickhead.
so much control, and so much to be afraid of when it comes to...
Yeah, never forget to be afraid. Nothing says newfound Christian who's put his trust in the Lord Jesus Christ and who can travel freely to and from any country he wants to, like impediments to freedom.
Establishment authority, that new alliances simply have to be formed.
I think it's a great start. I think a lot of the forces that you're
Yeah, you mispronounced shart.
talking about in censorship and suppression, I think a lot of that's been going on probably for decades.
Probably. I mean, I really haven't been paying attention. There's probably been people probably been canceled for decades. I just didn't give a fuck till it happened to me, which it didn't.
It was the extreme nature of the last few years, maybe the last...
Yeah, it's so extreme to not be allowed on a private platform.
last 8 years that I think woke up a lot of people to exactly what was going on. When we started speaking, I said, there's probably not a lot we would have agreed on politically or otherwise 8-10 years ago, and yet we're sort of in this same fight.
Yes, now both of you are hell-bent on making sure that maggots don't get vaccinated and die hand over fist in the next pandemic, which is inevitable because we live in a very connected world.
Against these external forces that at this point...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the black helicopters and the SWAT teams landing in your yard.
Honestly, to me, scream, just pure evil. It's just total control. There's nothing they won't do.
Pure evil? Pure evil. Your dad was Jeffrey Epstein's wingman.
And, as we talk this week, you said, on my Wikipedia page, I don't check it because I think Wikipedia is literally the basis that everyone else uses to spread misinformation and create censorship in an artificial means. But yeah, I'm still, an agent.
Yeah, I do. Misinformation patient zero is Wikipedia. Yeah. And that's, I think you should just marshal your forces and take down Wikipedia and would all be better off for it.
Russia.
Follow it with IMDb as well while you're at it.
Even though that's been.
Or an Urban Dictionary. I mean, but if you took down Urban Dictionary, that's probably not a good idea because you wouldn't know the name for the thing you're about to do to Russell.
Been totally disproven, and even though
Sorry. I know. We're not going to watch all of this. It's a fucking hour. But I just show you that and can I say for the record also there has been no valid conversation happening. You're literally watching two rich dudes talking about how bad they have it.
Hillary Clinton campaign pushed these lies, and our three-letter agencies blindly bought into that. Then they leaked the information to, establishment media, in that case, the New York Times.
You can't leak a lie. You can't leak a lie. You can lie, and you can further a lie, I suppose, but you can't leak a lie. If they leak something, a leaked thing is true.
Times, which writes an article that they use as the basis for an investigation to try to destroy a presidency, which is, as far as I'm concerned, an affront on democracy. But according to them, that's actually saving democracy somehow. We don't know how, but they will tell us that ad nauseum.
Okay, by the way, did you notice how he just laid down this kind of conspiratorial bullshit pathway? How the information got to the New York Times, that it was bounced through the fucking CIA and the FBI. All lies, by the way. All not true. Not in the Mueller report. Bill Barr doesn't believe that shit. Fuck, his father doesn't even think that was how it got there.
It's difficult to wrench your head out of the domestic environment that all of us inhabit.
You mean democracy, where you have the freedom to be an asshole like you are?
I mean primarily culturally.
Yeah, primarily. Where where bullshit happens, like women having rights and gay people being allowed to get married and all that,
And for a moment, consider that if we heard of a foreign country where a political opponent was being subject to criminal investigation while simultaneously having their previous policies plagiarized, policies which, whilst in office, Donald Trump was significantly condemned. I'm talking about the travel ban and various...
I'm sorry, are you saying that Joe Biden has put on a Muslim travel ban? So Biden is plagiarizing the Muslim ban. That's your stance. You think that's happening. And you're counting it on your finger as some sort of evidence?
Attempts to curtail or otherwise control immigration. While Donald Trump was in office, he was attacked by the same media now that are attempting to significantly amplify and support Biden's recent executive order when it comes to the border.
Yeah, that's singular. It's not based on national origin. It's the overwhelming of the southern border geographically. It's not no more fucking Guatemalans, but all the Venezuelans we can handle can come in. That was Trump.
You seem to be saying, Don, that is both an inept policy rather than pure plagiarism.
It's a lie. It's just...
Right. Well, first of all, what Russell just said is a lie. But the idea that he's not stealing from your dad didn't do that.
Optics, right? The Biden border policy is 4,000 guaranteed amnesty every day with...
Yeah, that's not at all what the bill said. At all. That's not at all what it says.
All sorts.
That's the maximum. This goes to like both of these assholes and their difficulty understanding the concept of like, I mean, consent ultimately.
Of loopholes for additional people. And just so we're clear, Obama's Homeland guy said 1,000 a day would be overwhelming. So now we're at 4x plus all the loopholes. So it's
what would those loopholes be? Oh, you mean the ones that you and your dad's business partners want so they can get foreign workers in Mar-a-Lago?
the optics. They're appearing to do something, but I'd ask, even if they're appearing to do something, maybe that's a start. Why did it take 3.5 years?
Well, because primarily they had to end Title 42, which was what started the encampments on the other side of the wall and created the industry that's there, that's shoving people across the border when they do come currently. And then it was a matter of trying to get an actual law put through, because Biden's executive orders will have a challenge in court. Even an asylum seeker from another country could find their way to the Supreme Court in the United States, and watch these motherfuckers flip out when that happens.
Did we think there was any good to come from, I don't know, the human trafficking, the child sex trafficking?
That apparently was happening all during your dad's presidency?
The fentanyl crisis that
is slowing down because we're interdicting more fentanyl coming across the border, and the border bill that your dad shot down had a lot of technology to stop fentanyl coming across the border. Please continue.
Has killed, kills, let's call it 100,000 Americans a year. 100,000, just so we understand what that is.
No, that it's not 100,000 a year. It hit 100,000 for the first time in your dad's last year in office, into the Biden first year, before they could put any policies in place.
That's 2 Vietnams.
April to April.
A year. 2 Vietnams a year.
Now do heart attacks from the kind of food your dad eats. Hold on 1 second. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Well, here you go. Let's see. Cardiovascular deaths saw a steep rise in the U.S. during the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's see. The first year of the COVID pandemic saw a steep rise in cardiovascular disease in the United States, especially high mortality rates for Asian, Black, and Hispanic people, according to a new statistical report from the American Heart Association. Cardiovascular disease-related deaths jumped from 874,000. So that's why it's like we're almost like what 18, 20, 40, 36 Vietnams a year. Is that my check my math on that?
Vietnam was 10 plus year war, 2 a year, and we barely talk about it as a crisis. I mean,
also you never talked about any other overdoses. Let's see. Overdose deaths 2019. Let's see. Let's see. There was age-adjusted drug overdose. Key findings there. 2019 it had the highest rate of drug overdose deaths. 2019. Up to that point, annual increase in the rate of drug overdose deaths from 2018 to 2019 went from 21 to 40 per 100,000. 70,630 drug overdose death for age-adjusted. Age-adjusted. So you might have died of a drug overdose, but you were old, so they didn't count that one. Yeah, here's. Should we look real quick? Should we look at, here's a chart for you. Age-adjusted drug overdose deaths by sex. Let's say 2015, 2016. Here's 2016. Kapow! This is like, it's definitely on an arc in terms of males, total overall, female. But here's the number in 2017 when Trump takes over. Bayow! There you go. Good times. Didn't do shit about it.
That's where we are. Where's the media talking about that? Because they will make it seem like they're trying to do something, and it's all smoke and mirrors. It's nonsense.
Well, they did actually put a bill together.
Vietnam's everywhere we look. Ed Dowd, reporting excess deaths in your country, says that in the 2-year period immediately post the pandemic, if we can even say post-pandemic at this point, there was...
Because he doesn't believe there was a pandemic.
...the Vietnam worth of excess deaths.
We were still getting people vaccinated, and a bunch of this asshole's dad's followers weren't getting vaccinated. We were losing a Vietnam worth of maggots. We still are.
We're living at a time, it seems to me...
And also, excess?
where centralized authority and the potential for a kind of technological feudalism is using as its
Technological feudal. Jesus Christ. First of all, get your feet off the couch.
biggest weapon the threat of a second Trump presidency to augur and allow them to create authoritarianism that's much more akin to versions of tyranny that we've seen in literature. Yes, to a degree.
In literature, yes. You know, like Hobbiton, or perhaps in the Harry Potter novels.
In George Orwell, but notably in Aldous
Fuck off.
Huxley. And the kind
No, we're not living in 1984. We're not living in fucking A Brave New World.
of terror and dread that I get from reading Franz Kafka in
Yeah. Yes. All right, fuck you. All right, I'm to believe this asshole sits at home reading Kafka and is filled with existential dread. The fuck out of here. First of all, you don't in the first place. Secondly, no.
books like The Trial, where there's this new, invisible, cruel bureaucracy
Yeah, that's what it is. You know, a cabal, Illuminati, if you will.
that tells you that it's helping you, tells you that it cares about you.
Oh, you mean like you do? Or the guy you're sitting next to does? To maggots, for example. Like both of you are rich to the point where you will never have to work again if you're not obviously hit with some sort of lawsuit that takes your money away, which, yeah, you know, there's a possibility of that out there. But both of you could live comfortably the rest of your lives and never have to spend a penny of your savings. You could live off the interest of the money you have and live more comfortably than 99% of the people on the fucking earth. And both of you are sitting there telling maggots that you care about them and you have their best interests at heart, but they should be terrified.
Won't give you details or facts about where power actually lies. Replacing
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The guy who was just telling me about some sort of shadow cabal of bureaucracy that runs the fucking world won't tell me exactly where power resides. The fuck out of here. Why don't you just go off on Klaus Schwab again?
it uses really kind language, all the while
No, that's so. So what you're saying is people who use kind language cannot be trusted. So you can only trust people who shit on other human beings and abuse women and the like. So that's why you can trust Trump, is because he's so untrustworthy. Fucking brilliant.
inhibiting your freedom, turning people against one another. I'm beginning
to think that I'm not even going to be able to go to Florida. Oh, fuck.
I recognise now that's a much bigger threat to freedom than even the worst portrayal of the MAGA movement and Donald Trump.
No, it isn't. Because the worst portrayal of it barely matches up to the attack on January 6th. People fucking died. The worst portrayal? He literally sicked his followers on the fucking Capitol. They were screaming, "Hang Mike Pence." That's a brand new standard of shitty in the United States, dum-dum. The fuck out of here. Anyways, you get the general idea. Woof. It's just fucking, just the stupid. Now, obviously, we're talking about a situation where, and I think this is in the order that they went down. You know, this way, yeah. No, that's not the one. Is this okay? Yeah, I'll try to put these in order. It's hard to tell. Yeah. Yeah, here we go. So this is. Let me tell you something. There is no fucking way. This is the next clip, by the way. Hit that like, subscribe, if you will, pass the show around. Make clips if you would like and share them about, because this is a very long show and I get it, but I can't cut clips right now, so people will have to do that. You're welcome to. Now, Sean Hannity, never to be outdone by Greg Kelly, interviewed Trump in person. Greg Kelly gets him on the phone. Sean Hannity gets to come over for golf and a fuck around at Bedminster. And let me tell you something. There is no fucking way that Sean Hannity, that fascist thumb, looks across the weird chasm of tableless space between him and Trump. I think that's the setup here again. And looks at Trump's hair in this situation and goes, "Yeah, he's still got it. He's still he hasn't given up entirely." Yeah. Also, if I may, do I have? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if I may, please avert your eyes if you have a weak stomach. The nut does make a massive appearance a couple of times in this. So just consider yourself. I have to legally put this up. State of California rules. Yeah. Okay, here we go. This is his first one, I think, the clips that they put up here. Donald Trump on facing jail time. "I'm very proud to fight for our Constitution." Now, he's repeating a lot of these things kind of ad hoc. So we'll hear a lot of talking points, but it'll be what's between the lines and the look on Sean Hannity's face, I'm guessing, because I have not watched these. It's just you and I sitting here watching these. Like the dead stare and the kind of lost, like, what am I here kind of attitude of it is, yeah, he's a mess. It's a mess.
We just have breaking news, as I mentioned in my open tonight, and I want to get your reaction to the fact that the appeals court has now stopped your Georgia case, election case, while appeal on Willis's disqualification is pending. This is on the heels of Florida Judge Eileen Cannon looking into whether or not
Also, for the record, all the any maggots we have in the chat, hello maggots, hi trolls. Welcome. Glad you're here. You help us spread out through the algorithm of the internet in a way that no one else can. So I appreciate you being here. Just write something, but don't use bigoted language or it'll kick you off. So just try to use your big boy words when you're being shitty. That's all I ask. And then secondly, I would like to say, if you'll notice, Donald Trump this entire interview is doing the Illuminati vagina hand signal, which apparently when Obama and other people did it, just resting their fingers together, they were the source of evil in the fucking world. And it's not spelled maggots like that. It's spelled, here, I'll put it in the chat room. It's capital MAGA, appropriate to the thing. Lowercase t, lowercase s. There it is. Maggots. That's how you spell it. Thank you very much. If you'll notice, he's doing that business, which apparently, like I said, according to Alex Jones and everyone else, when a leader does that, it means they're on the take. They belong to the Illuminati. They're signaling. It's like the equivalent of like a rapper doing this and proving that they're fucking part of the one-eye Illuminati shit or whatever the fuck. So just saying, to be consistent, if you take anything from this interview, I want you to take away that Donald Trump has obviously probably been taken out by the Illuminati, and that's someone wearing his skin. And that person is a lot smaller than he is because it's hanging very loosely and it doesn't look very good.
Prosecutor Jack Smith, the special prosecutor, was pointed in an inappropriate way, which would render the case and the indictments out completely.
No, it would not. Get the fuck out of here. An inappropriately appointed DA or something somewhere does not mean somebody gets away with murder. That's not how our legal system works. If it did, like, the mob would have the easiest fucking job in the world. Just all they would have to do is compromise everybody they could get their hands on or threaten them with death, and you'd never lock up any of them, which I guess is Trump's, what is that, Operation 2025 or whatever.
That is going to take place in fairly short order. A lot can change in a couple of days with only 152 days out of election.
Okay, so he asked, what about this breaking news that your case has been punted until after the election, the Georgia case? And let's see, he's going to bring up an answer. Well, I think that's appropriate because the election is where I'd like to put my focus, and I feel free that I'll be able to be exonerated in this, but it's best that we can deal with it after the election because I want to put everything into telling people what I plan to do for the country. You see what I'm saying? Let's see if that's what his answer's like.
And what we call him deranged Jack Smith, because
just fucking. Okay.
Look at his career. He's been overturned by the Supreme Court unanimously. So many other things. He goes too far.
Let me ask you this. You had said something.
Ooh, that was an edit. They just bailed out of that one. Let me ask you this, Sean. How'd you manage to get your glasses on in the middle of a 2-sentence answer?
During the trial in New York, Mother Teresa couldn't beat these charges was one thing that you said, and you turned out to be right.
I'm sorry. Did I miss some sort of like posthumous trial of Mother Teresa in a New York court? The fuck?
And secondly, you were asked about the possibility that Judge Mershon might send you to jail.
And I'm ready for it. I think, I think I would make, if they should send me and Pence. I already have a bitch. That would work.
You said something that really kind of got my attention.
Everything he says gets your attention, stupid.
What did you say? That
Oh no, he doesn't remember.
Didn't phase you in the sense that if that's what it takes, you don't have to be doing this. You could be playing golf every day and you probably wouldn't.
He is playing golf every day. That's what he is doing that. Like, he didn't leave immediately and just rally to make up lost time. He golfed 5 days in a row.
Be charged with anything.
Well, I think I
Yes, he would. You're still a criminal no matter what you do.
say it about almost all of these cases that are brought against me.
No, you could say it. It's not true.
They are doing it for the purposes of hurting a political opponent of Biden
Yeah, you can say that. Again, not true.
and trying to get him to win, and he's the worst president in the history of our country. But in the case that you're talking about, I said very strong.
I mean, as long as you don't count, infrastructure and unemployment and, rebuilding, actually rebuilding the military and supporting our allies and, rural broadband,
Strongly that
rescue package, CHIPS Act, setting China's technology back a decade.
I'm very proud to fight for our Constitution, and if that's what it takes, everybody said, this is such a minor thing. You don't go to jail for this, all of. But you don't understand what we're dealing against, Sean. We're dealing against these systems
Dealing against. Fuck, man.
that is so corrupt. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. I did nothing wrong in any of these things.
Yeah, I tell you. It's so weird. I am an innocent man. How do you say I am? Except the fucking, sexual assault shit, and obviously the stealing of classified documents and refusing to return them and engaging in a conspiracy with underlings to hide the stuff from your own lawyer and causing them to lie on your behalf to the point where they would have lost their law license and they had to actually leave you, and you actually broke attorney-client privilege by your criminal activity. But, sorry, you were saying?
I did nothing wrong. We did nothing wrong at all.
At all. There's nothing wrong with having an affair with a porn star while your wife's at home with your 5-month-old.
And whether you look at the analysts, whether it's Greg Jarrett or Andy McCarthy or
Yeah, all of them.
or Jonathan Turley or your friend, the great one, Mark Levin.
Who is why is he great? For one, I guess he doesn't even shout well.
Dershowitz, all of them.
Yeah. For the record, if you're only going to name 5 people, I would just stick with 4, and not mention the guy who got a massage at fucking Jeffrey Epstein's house. I would just leave that out.
There's no case here. Judge Janine was so incredible 2 weeks ago. She was unbelievable.
Yes. Yeah, it did a lot of good. It did, yeah.
Angry. She was angry. And you know why they're angry?
She always is.
Because I love
She makes Nancy Grace look like John Denver.
our country and they see what's happening. It's totally unconstitutional what they've done. And if you
It isn't, though. Because a lot of the like appellate judges, and even in the case of Eileen Cannon, you appointed these judges and they let these things go forward because they're not unconstitutional.
look at the statements made by the people I just mentioned, and I'm not friends with any, I think
You don't have friends, but these guys all want either a cabinet position or they want the classified documents case because you're going to spend all your money trying to stay out of fucking jail. They all want that job. That's what this is. I'm dead serious. These fucking, 4 of these fuckers are all auditioning to be on his legal team for the classified documents case because he will spend every last dime he has to stay out of jail because it's 800 years he's up for.
they respect what I've done. They might respect me. They might not respect me.
I think they respect what money you have left.
But they said there's no case. It shouldn't have been brought. And the way the judge charged the jury, told the jury, gave jury instructions, nobody's ever heard anything like that.
It was basically when you break.
Edit.
Break it down, a records keeping issue on a misdemeanor whose statute of limitations.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Not only was it nothing, but you're too late. Like, good Lord.
Had run out, that they upcharged into a felony on a federal election, and that raises another issue of appeal. What will be your
And by the way, when you say
oh dear, when he breaks in, it's never good.
records keeping, you know what the record keeping was?
Oh, it's a legal expense. It's a legal expense. They put a legal expense and a legal expense. I got a legal expense and a legal expense. I got a legal expense. I got whack, whack, whack.
They charged an election, if you look, a lawyer's fee, a legal fee.
Oops. An election. Whoops.
And you call it a legal expense. It's known. You call a legal fee a legal expense.
You call it a legal fee a legal expense. I agree. It wasn't a legal fee. What the fuck are you looking at us for? We got you. Boom. Like he looks straight into the camera. All the time when he knows he's lying, he does this whole thing. It's a legal expense.
The bookkeeper I never spoke to.
Never. You don't speak to bookkeepers. They're employees.
Correctly wrote a legal expense for a lawyer that was paid.
We have a similar case. Hillary Clinton funneled money to a law firm, and that law firm hired an op research firm, and that op research firm hired a guy by Christopher Steele. That became the basis of what I described as the dirty Russian misinformation dossier. That became the basis of not one but four.
No bullshit. Like the Washington Free Beacon hired him first. And then they decided they were all in for Trump and they didn't want it anymore. And he took it. Christopher Steele and like Fusion GPS or whatever it was, took that to the Hillary Clinton campaign. They bought it. They said you can't look at it unless you buy it. So they're like, okay, we'll pay for it. It's an op-ed thing. You're a trusted source. They read it and they're like, we're gonna win. We don't have to go with fucking PP tape. We don't need any of this shit. And Christopher Steele was like, are you out of your fucking mind? He's a criminal. Everybody I talked to is like, this dude is fucking mobbed up with the Russians like crazy. So I'm going to the fucking FBI. And he did. And he talked to one of Hillary Clinton's lawyers at her firm and said, can you get me a direct line can somebody at your firm refer me to the FBI so I can pass this fucking thing along to her? Because you guys own it now. That's how it happened. I don't know what the fuck he's making up, but that's true.
FISA applications, and it all turned out not to be true.
That's a lie.
So in that
it did not. There are like three things that are unverifiable, and the rest of it's absolutely true.
Case, well, nobody was charged. Nobody was charged with top secret classified information.
She didn't release that shit, dummy. Vox put it out.
Her home wasn't raided on her server. Deleted subpoenaed emails, 30,000 of them.
You can't get rid of an email. It's always somewhere.
We didn't hear a bleach bit. Then you have all the people that signed off on those warrants. Nothing happens to them. Joe Biden, 4 locations, top secret documents. Nobody raided his house.
They didn't have to. He let them come in, and he didn't interfere with them seeking it. He didn't say, I tell you what, give me a couple of weeks / a couple of months, and I'll have my attorney will sign it. We'll give you everything a couple weeks from now, and just trust us on this. And then lied to his own fucking attorney. He just let the FBI come over and said he has the lawyer present because that's what you do. But he's like, yeah, go have at it.
That, I guess we've added a new word to our lexicon, and that is lawfare, or weaponization of justice.
That's right.
My question to you is, and people are saying,
you're going to do this after you get in. See, you just set him up with the dictator thing, and like, you're not going to be all vengeful, are you?
Actually, because of an interview we did together, you said I would be dictator for the day and just to secure the border and drill for oil. I thought it was tongue-in-cheek. I was sitting there with you. However, my question is a very serious one. You know,
last time you blew me off and you made me look like an asshole. Don't do it again.
People are claiming you want retribution. People are claiming you want what has happened to you done to Democrats. Would you do that ever?
Look, what's happened to me has never happened in this country before.
Yeah, but we've never had an adjudicated rapist as president.
And it has to stop because...
Wait a minute. I want to hear that again. It has to stop.
Well, it does have to stop because we're not going to have a
And
country
if you're
anymore.
elected, what does that mean? Define that.
Look, what I've gone through, nobody's ever gone through.
Yes, you're basically Jesus.
I'm a very legitimate person. I built a great business.
Totally great. Yeah, great. Just, I mean, it's your dad's business, but sure. Except it isn't.
Everything's been, I have been under siege. Nobody's ever seen anything like this in this country.
Martha Stewart would like to talk to you.
Now, in other countries,
Bernie Madoff.
in other third world countries, or banana republics, as they say, a banana republic,
Yeah, how they say that?
we've become a banana republic.
No, we have not. You know, a lot of times when a corrupt leader is in charge of a banana republic and he leaves office and he's stolen from the country and fucked around a bunch, the next group that comes in is too afraid of that person to do anything about it. That's one of the things that defines a third world country or a banana republic, is the fact that leaders get away with this shit when they should go to fucking jail.
Like at the border, we become a banana republic.
Well, I mean, everything fits off the rack, if that's what you mean.
With so many other elements of our country, we become a banana republic. You take a look at what's happening with inflation.
Yeah, because we have the lowest of the G7 countries.
That's a banana republic inflation. What?
Everything's a banana republic. You remember that thing I did with April Fool's Day? And remember how I used to try to go, everything's April Fool's Day. It's like April Fool's Day, and I really tried that. We're going to try that with Banana Republic now. Just plug that in. Same bit, different punchline.
We have, I think it could be as high as 50% if
You're a fucking idiot.
you add everything in. When you start adding energy prices in, when you start adding interest rates, which have gone from 2%
I'm going to get to all
9
that.
and 10%.
But focus on
Try and focus, jibberty jabberty man.
those that want people to believe that you want retribution, that you will use the system of justice to go after your political enemies.
So, number one, they're wrong. It has to stop because otherwise we're not going to have a country. Look,
They're wrong. What? Okay, you're not going to go after those people. So you would stand up there and tell maggots everywhere that you will not go after people once you're in office. When they say lock them up, you're going to go, no, they're good people. We just have a disagreement.
when this election is over, based on what they've done, I would have every right to go after them. And it's easy because it's Joe Biden and you see all the criminality.
Yeah, you do. What, like such as?
All of the money that's going into the family and him, all of this money from China, from Russia, from Ukraine. During one of the interviews, I said, what about the $3.5 million paid to the Biden family
From the mayor of Moscow's wife. Okay, that went to Devin Archer. We've been through this. We all saw the fucking testimony. They testified under oath.
the mayor of Moscow's wife? What about that? And
Russian
Chris Wallace defended him, said, you can't ask that question. Well, then it turned out to be a big deal.
No, it did not.
Long after that debate, that was
No, it did not.
one of the debates. And it turned out to be a big deal.
No, it did
And
not.
Chris Wallace said, we can't go there because we don't know that it should turn out to be true. Millions and millions of
No, it was not true. It turned out not to be true. For the record. For the record. Sean Hannity, you should, if you have any humanity left, you would push back on them and go, actually, it didn't. That went into a section of the company that was run by Devin Archer. Specifically, he only got that money, and he testified under oath that that money was to him, and he invested it on her behalf. He didn't get paid that money. She gave him that money to invest. He got a portion of the profits that money made, and that's it.
dollars. Now,
By the
if
way,
we're
he
going to
had
do
dinner
that,
with her at the Cafe Milano. And
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
he said to America he never once talked to his son, brother, or anybody about their foreign business deal.
Right. And you have literally no evidence that he ever did. Point to it.
well, he said it, and then you found out it was absolutely untrue. Everything he said.
Did you? If it's absolutely untrue, you should have at least one email you can hold up and go, hey, how's that deal we're working on? Or one recorded conversation. Or even one of the witnesses saying he was sitting there during his time in office, or during his time running for office after that. Not the fucking 1 6-month window where he was neither, which is what the Bobolinsky shit is all about. And even then, even there, nothing happened. He still had the habits of somebody who was in office.
This is untrue. There's never been a president like this. Look, he is a horrible president. He's destroying our country at the border. He's allowing millions of people to come in from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums.
Well, who are you going to talk to if he doesn't?
Which is a
They're the only people that understand you.
step above, a big step above a mental institution.
Is it? It is way classier. I agree.
He's allowing terrorists to flood into our country, and the numbers.
And the your evidence for that is the number of people that they've caught that they are not allowing in. Brilliant.
There are probably 16, 17, or 18 million people.
30. Go with 40. Why not?
You're going to have over 20 million people, I think. I believe, and a lot of other people do too, by the time he hopefully gets out. November 5th, Election Day, will be the most, and by the way, it starts on September 22nd. It starts earlier because of early voting, but November 5th.
Wait, you're for early voting now? Well, will wonders never cease?
Will go down as the most important election in the history
of the Trump family, because that's when the aging, doddering, psycho patriarch Jr. Got put away.
Of our country. It's going to be the most important day and period in the history of our country.
Will you pledge?
You could tell he doesn't believe that afterwards. Can I just say? Oh, hi, sorry. Hey man, what happened? By the way, what? Where the fuck is he, man? He looks like he's sitting in a goddamn cigar box. Seriously, what the shit is this place, man? It's like this looks like one of the rooms in the Clue game. It's like Hannity did it with the lamp from A Christmas Story in the fucking library with no books. The shit. All right. Here he is. Hold on. Let me back this up.
Day and period in the history of our country.
Will you pledge?
Look at that look on his face when he does that. In our history.
To restore equal justice, equal application of our laws, end this practice of weaponization. Is that a promise you're going to
You
make?
have to do it. But it's awful. Look, I know you want me to say something.
No, I don't want you to say. I'm
but
asking.
I don't want to look naive.
I don't want
What they've done to the Republican Party, they want to arrest on no crime. They want to arrest the person that won the nomination in a landslide. There was no.
No, it wasn't a landslide. The fact that you were already president, yes, hair is fucked up. The fact that you were already president once and you didn't run unopposed in and of itself is fucked up. You lost 30 to 40% of the vote in a bunch of different areas to somebody who'd already dropped out.
Nobody even close in a landslide.
Then if you won in a landslide, then fucking Biden won in a Pompeii X2.
Person that got millions of votes, more votes than any other sitting president in history in the last
And still came up short.
election. The person that won an election that he wasn't expected to win against Hillary Clinton in 2016. They want to arrest that person.
For crimes.
On no crime. They want to arrest. There was no crime. There was no criminality. There was no crime. And you can go back to all.
It was a perfect crime. I hit it.
All of these legal scholars. They can't.
All 5 of them.
Believe what.
Well, 4. 3. I don't know any of them are scholars. They're lawyers.
What's happening? Some of them.
Turley might technically qualify because he writes a lot of papers. Dershowitz isn't a fucking scholar.
Don't even like me, and they're saying this is a very, very dangerous thing that's happening. No, we can't let this happen. And
by the way, no one likes you. Just a bunch of people are afraid of your followers.
I will do everything in my power not to let. But there's tremendous criminality here. What they're doing to me.
So yes, he's going to go after them. This is not the answer Sean Hannity wanted.
If it's going to continue, we're really not going to have much of a country left. It is weaponization. You call it lawfare. You call it. Some people call it just warfare.
No, they don't.
But it is weaponization.
They don't know. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe, but no one's sane.
Of the election. And we're talking about, I think, the most important election in the history of our country. This will go down, I believe, as the most important election in the history of our country.
Yeah, you should say that probably one more time at least.
We can't have this stuff go on because, you know what? When Biden goes out, everyone says bye-bye, and then he gets indicted.
That's what they say.
2 days later, and they go after him. The country doesn't want that.
Right, because he didn't do anything.
And you know what? They didn't want it with Hillary Clinton either.
Because she didn't do anything.
I thought it was terrible. You know, I'd make a speech, everyone would say, lock her up, lock her up, lock. And I was at a UFC fight the other night with Dana White, who's a fan.
Oh, this is the shit about these guys, fighters hate each other, and then they hug and kiss and give each other a reach around after.
You got a terrible reception.
Yeah, but
I did well. I'm kidding.
You better tell them.
I'm kidding. I'm not telling Dana that.
People don't understand sometimes sarcasm.
We played it.
Look at that. Don't tell people I got a bad reception, Sean. You're fucking with me, man. Imagine being that fucking weak. That's your fucking response. Look at his face. He goes, you didn't get a great response. The whole thing was he's trying to say 30,000 people cheered him or some shit like that or whatever. He literally can't allow the sarcasm. Can you imagine being that fucking weak?
With Dana White, who's a fantastic.
You got a terrible reception.
Yeah, but
I did well. I'm kidding.
You better tell them.
I'm kidding. I'm not telling Dana that.
People don't understand sometimes sarcasm.
We played it. It was pretty overwhelming.
It was 25,000 people, whatever.
Look at that. Just can't let any of it slide. Cannot. Just weak as shit.
They had going absolutely. There wasn't a negative. But you know what?
There wasn't a negative thing in there because you could hear all the fuck yous through the yays.
What I watched, and it was some of the fighters, two in particular, hated their opponent.
Did you interview them beforehand, or? And
this went on for months. The fight, was broadcast.
Yeah, they both of them lived in Mar-a-Lago, and they bunked in your room. It was a pilot for a new show you're doing.
Out, and they announced the fight, and the hatred was real. It was the real deal.
No, it wasn't.
People have a lot of hatred, and they hate it. And then the fight ended, and they're hugging and kissing in the ring. They're down, sitting they're hugging and kissing.
And reaching around and tweaking each other's nipples. And one of them said he really likes this thing where he likes the bottom of his balls, like, lightly brushed, just a little bit. Like he was doing that. And then they both went to a glory hole together. What the fuck are you talking about?
It's like nothing happened. Happened on two fights. There were tremendous animosity between the two fighters, and
then by the end they were fucking. Are you sure you were at the UFC? You sure this wasn't an eyes wide shut party and that's how it always goes?
The other two fighters. And at the end, that's what happened. And in a certain way, after we won against Hillary, people would say, lock her up, lock her up. And I said, wouldn't it be terrible if I locked up the wife of the President of the United States, former, and locked up the former Secretary of State? It's a terrible thing. You're starting off, you want to bring the country together. I want to bring the country together. And success does bring the country together because we are the most successful economy in the history.
Yeah, this is because they edited this so much. They already have their chyrons ready. Trump, success brings the country together. Yeah, because we were never divided under Trump. Everybody was just getting along.
History of our country.
Fucking kumbaya.
Just prior to COVID. And even at the end, I got it back. It was an amazing thing.
No, you did not.
But we had
you were threatening states that if they weren't nice to you, they wouldn't get PPE, you fucking asshole.
Most successful economy in history.
No. If it was, then the stock market is twice what it was when you came into office right now. Under Biden. Or left office. Twice.
And I was getting calls from radical left people
No, he wasn't.
wanting to meet. And I'm telling you, success.
Because you're the president of the United States at the time, and they have to run stuff by you. They could only get your party online for their shit if they met with you. They didn't like you. They didn't think you'd actually do it, but they knew you were dough-headed enough and your ego was spongy enough that they could probably come over and kiss your ass a little bit, and you're so fucking stupid, you'd pass stuff your own party didn't like if you thought it would get you some new fans.
African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, women, men, people with diplomas, people without diplomas, people that went to MIT, Harvard, and Wharton, people that didn't get out of high school. The most successful.
Yes, all those people died during COVID because you wanted to finish a deal with the Chinese and pretend that it didn't exist till fucking April.
Economy we've ever had. And people on that I would say, you call them on the radical left, call it whatever you want, liberal people, progressive people, they were all calling and they were saying, let's get together, this is amazing.
That's right. They were like, let's have a steak dinner tonight. Let's go find a cigar bar in a smoke-filled room and to introduce me to Rudy Giuliani. Maybe I've been wrong about you this whole time, you pussy-grabbing asshole.
Every single group, nobody has ever done better than during that period of time.
Then why didn't you pass an infrastructure bill? Fucking wait. If everybody was calling, there's just no singular difference between the content of an infrastructure bill that Biden passed and what could have been passed during your presidency. There wasn't a huge change in how fucking roads are laid or bridges are fixed or fiber optic lines are run. So why didn't you get it fucking passed? If everybody wanted to kiss your ass and it was fucking kumbaya, why couldn't you get an infrastructure bill passed? I'm dead serious. Like it was a fucking nail biter to see if Biden could get this passed. And he never claimed that everybody on the right was calling him up and kissing his ass and all this shit. Why not? You do realize that the more he talks like this, it's actually worse. Because to accomplish so little when apparently everybody was kissing your ass makes no sense. It just means you didn't want to.
In my administration during that period. And they wanted to get together and it would have.
They had to. You were president at the time. You notice how none of them are talking to you now?
We would have happened. It was really something.
We would have happened. I agree. We would have happened. It's one of my favorite Carly Simon songs. We would have happened. We would have happened along. We would have happened along the same way.
I'm not sure I would have been able to say to you that there was a way to unify. Success will unify, and I think we're going to have a tremendous success. We have to bring it back fast because this country we're a failing nation. We are really a failing nation right now.
No, we are not.
We're being laughed at all over the world.
No, we are not.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Well, seriously. Okay, next one. Here's Chunk 2.
And here is part 2 of my interview from just a few hours earlier with former President Donald Trump.
It was a few hours because we had to cut some of the weird shit out. There's a lot of weird shit we had to cut out. It was really fucking, honestly, it wasn't even wrong so much as it was just fucking weird.
Let me ask you, are you following at all the Hunter?
Let me ask you, what happened to your head? Because I would say it's hat hair, but that doesn't happen. Honest to God, were you riding in a golf cart in a hurricane winds going backwards? Were you backing up into a leaf blower?
Biden trial.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, tell us the details then. Break it down for us. You're following the Hunter Biden trial. Tell us about it. By the way, Biden today, they asked him if he would pardon his son. He said no.
Let me ask you about 2 aspects of it. There's the legal aspect of it.
No.
Okay, case seems pretty overwhelming on the gun charge in this.
Yes, a law that conservatives do not believe should exist.
Case, in my opinion, he does not quite have this hostile a venue in Delaware as
No,
you
he's
had.
got a very friendly venue. I had the.
I got news for you. It depends on where you be criming. You do realize that. Again, next time, if you're going to commit a crime, do it in Harriet Hagman's district. He can come down here and crime all he wants to. I'm Harriet Hagman from the great state of Wyoming. Come on down here and cry, Mr. President. I will make sure that no one messes with you. You get off scot-free. I don't know how you got on top of scot-free. I've tried to get on top of him a couple of times, and I'm like, come back here, Scott. I won't you. I need you. Wyoming needs you. Scot-free is handsome, but not as handsome as you, Mr. President. What have you been doing with your hair? You will have to give me the name of your squirrel. Okay, shit. Sorry. And scene.
Most hostile venue you could have. We asked for a venue change, and
Well, again, crime somewhere else.
we asked for a judge change.
No, not a.
Yep, no. Everybody asks for that. You know who gets one? Almost no one.
Which
And they
happened.
wouldn't do it.
Okay. So, however,
Why couldn't they? Ugh. Cottonmouth again?
there's another aspect of it. And it's something that if you look at, like, for example,
By the way, I love you, Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity, have you ever spent the night in Billings? I'm just saying, I got a cot in the barn that's a double wide. Let's do it. I'll let you touch it.
the fentanyl flowing into this country that is killing our children in massive numbers,
Yep.
and opioids killing our children in massive numbers. There is this issue that is very real, and I guarantee you there's not a person that's watching this show that doesn't know somebody, family member, friend, neighbor, that hasn't had to deal with addiction. You've had to deal with it in your life. You don't drink.
He's like, I have? Oh, you mean my brother, right? Shit.
No,
Never have.
no, no.
You ever snorted anything? You ever? I mean, it's kind of a tough question, but I mean, off the shelf or anything, you ever taken, I'm just spitballing, taken some Adderall and some Sudafed that you bought overseas and crushed it up really fine and blazed a rail of it?
I had a drink.
No.
I had a brother who suffered tremendously from alcoholism and alcohol.
Yes, both. Yeah, very seldom people suffer from alcoholism, but not alcohol.
And it was a terrible thing to watch. He was an incredible guy with the best personality. He was the best looking person you've ever seen. Everything.
Look, he looks fine. Is another? There he is. The best looking person. I mean, I guess I should be slightly glad that he's at least talking about his dead brother in almost human terms.
Everything was perfect, but he had an
Everything was perfect except
addiction. And so I understand addiction because I was very close. He was very close to me. He was incredible.
I was very close. He was very close to me.
Guy, but he suffered and I've had many friends, but my brother suffered tremendously from this addiction. In fact, he was older than me, and he'd go out and say, "Never drink, never ever drink." Now, in those days, drugs were not prevalent.
Right.
You didn't have that. But
Yeah, in the 70s. Yeah, in the 60s. Yeah, back then. They didn't have drugs in the 60s and 70s. The drugs didn't really show up until 2004, maybe 2005.
he'd say,
With the iPod, right? It was iPod and crack came in at the same time.
never, ever drink. He knew exactly what he was saying. I used to say, what does he always say? But I never had a drink. I was, I'm not bragging about it. I know one thing about addiction, because a lot of people say, what do you tell children?
Yes, that's what do you tell children? When, I would suggest if I were you in your position, and I would hate myself if I were, but if I was, what would I say to children? I would say, why are you on this plane with me and Jeffrey Epstein? That's what I would say. I'm pretty sure that's what I would say. If I was Donald Trump, that's what I would say to kids. Why are you on this plane with me and Jeffrey Epstein? I think that's
Say, if you don't have a drink, you're never going to have a problem. If you do have a drink, you have a good chance that you'll be addicted.
No, you don't.
Or drugs, because now drugs are probably equal to or greater. I mean,
Something, I don't know. I haven't really looked into it. Drugs are, wine, PCP, what's the fucking difference?
what's so bad? And they're dying from a drug the size of a pinhead, a little bit of fentanyl.
Don't say pinhead in front of Sean. You know how that hurts his feelings.
Literally what could fit on the end of a pin.
Or a little spoon that a friend of yours used to carry under their tie that parties you would, no? All right.
Can kill 10 people. It's crazy and so dangerous out there.
Yeah, but you can get addicted to it. A bit on the head of a pin can kill 10 people, but some users blaze that shit.
And so many are dying where they think they're getting something and going to have a little fun on a Friday night, and all of a sudden they're dead.
Welcome to the South.
Because of the power of what's happening.
Yeah, because of the power of what's happening. It's, you know what I love about him? It's the poetry.
And the sad thing is that
that they're dead. I think the sad thing is that they thought they were going to have a good time on Friday night and they're dead. That sounds fairly sad to me.
I had an agreement with President Xi of China. I said, listen, you're killing our people. It's going through Mexico, and Mexico is paying a big price also from me. It's going through Mexico, coming through. Most of it is 95% coming through the southern border. I built 571 miles of wall.
And so let me tell you, which has slat holes this big. I'm just saying you could probably fit a pin with fentanyl on the tip through the fence. You could just literally hand it right through, like a whole arm. As a matter of fact, a bag of fentanyl, you could just shove it through the slat in the wall, I think, depending on the size of the package. I mean, what size? I mean, right? Anything smaller, if it's a bundle that's smaller than, what, a sleeping bag?
And I had the Mexican army protecting us. I said, you're either going to protect us or I'm going to...
During construction.
Charge you big tariff.
Because we hired people in Mexico to work on the other side, and there were cartels, and they had to get to work. That's what the 28,000 soldiers business, which was really closer to 12. And it had everything to do with keeping the cartel guys from stopping the workers that were driving to the border to help build the fucking thing.
And got along very well with the president of Mexico. They gave us tremendous protection during the time.
By the way, can I just say, one of my favorite things, as you know, is when news people suddenly develop a Spanish accent when they're talking about Guatemala, or they're talking about Manuel Luis Obrador in the middle of the things, where they're like, and I just can't wait for those people to put on a really heavy, authentic Mexican accent when they say Claudia Sheinbaum, who is the new president of Mexico. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know, the new president of Mexico's name is Claudia Sheinbaum. I mean, really. That's when we are going down to Caracas, Venezuela, and then we're making a trip. We're going to come back through Mexico. We will sit down with Claudia Sheinbaum.
We had the best level of numbers. Nobody's ever had numbers like the best we've ever had in
level of numbers?
In terms of illegal immigration. In fact, my last week in office,
when COVID was raging and we had more cases than Mexico,
we had less people coming into our country than at any time before. But
yes, we were in a raging pandemic No one was going anywhere.
Importantly,
Even cartel people didn't want to die.
we also had drugs were down 19%, 20%, and that's not enough. And by the way, you'll never really solve the drug problem unless you do what other countries do,
So
and
you have
that's
this
the death
sympathy.
penalty for drug dealers.
But
If
then-
you have
Oh, and by the way, the Claudia Scheinbaum joke is mine and was borrowed by other people. I would just like to say for the record. Check the timing on the tweets. Just saying.
a drug dealer on average will kill during that person's life 500 people, unless you have a death penalty, unless there's something that right now they don't even get charged with anything.
Yes, they do.
If you don't institute the death penalty for drug dealers, you'll never solve that problem.
You do realize they still have drugs in the Philippines and stuff. As a matter of fact, like the price of it goes up inexorably. They make way more money if they can manage. As a matter, if you're going to get killed, people want to get paid a lot of fucking money, and it makes it worth it. Like people can bug out after just a few months doing it.
You'll get it down to a number that, like I got it down, actually at one point it was 22% down. That was a good thing, but you'll never solve the problem. We
No, he didn't.
set up committees, we set up all of this. The cartels are run by very smart, very vicious people. They're pouring drugs into our country. Now, the number coming in now compared to 4 years ago is 12 times higher, drugs. So it's not only people, it's not.
No, it isn't. The amount caught is 12 times higher. The amount interdicted, the amount discovered and removed from trucks and from people carrying it across is 12 times higher. Not the amount caught.
Only human trafficking, it's drugs. The drugs are pouring into our country totally unchecked.
No, they aren't. If they were coming in unchecked, you wouldn't even have the ability to make a 12x statement. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't have any reference point.
Back to Hunter. So you have sympathy for addiction, okay?
No, right. No, he didn't. No, he said he has some experience with it, and his brother yelled, "Don't drink," and he kind of got it, but and that he was handsome. Where the fuck did you get sympathy?
I think most Americans do, okay? That's not what the trial's about.
He's like, "What the fuck did I say? Sympathy? I didn't say sympathy. Fucking, I was trying to make the point that my brother was a loser."
And I think there are bigger issues involving the Biden family. We touched on it earlier, and that is, okay, how does somebody with no experience get paid millions of dollars, goes on Good Morning America, no experience, oil, energy, gas, Ukraine, millions of dollars. Then, of course, Vice President at the time, Joe Biden, leverages $1 billion tax dollars to get a prosecutor investigate.
No, not $1 billion tax dollars. That was a loan guarantee. The money didn't go out the door. The World Bank put that money forward. We guaranteed $1 billion of it, but we did not actually pay it directly. We only pay it if they default on it.
Investigating the companies in business with, his son's in business with, fired within 6 hours using $1 billion of our dollars.
No, because after that guy got fired, then they really went after the leader of the company. He fled the country and now is a citizen of Cyprus. He bought Cyprian citizenship after. If the guy was really after him and he was really worried about it, he was like, oh my God, this guy's on my fucking tail. Why was he still in Ukraine during that time? But when they put a new prosecutor in, that guy comes after him and he flees the fucking country. What? How does that make any sense?
There are other
And you have a statute of limitations.
There are real legal issues.
It's like, not only am I not guilty, but they didn't catch me in time.
Excuse me. The really big stuff, and their trial is, look, I feel very badly for them in terms of the addiction part of what they have right now, because I understand the addiction world, and I've also not
The addiction world. I have a subscription to Addiction
only a
World.
brother, I've lost a lot of friends to addiction, drugs, alcohol, and there are other addictions also, frankly.
Yes, you know, I don't know, the kind that get you syphilis from a skanky guest of Mar-a-Lago, or
It would be nice if people would do certain things and live certain ways, but you're not able to. They're just not able to break it. I've had friends that are so strong. My brother was a strong person. I've had friends that were so strong, so powerful. They couldn't stay away from a glass of alcohol. They
A glass of alcohol.
couldn't stay away from a drug. They had
A drug. What kind of a drug? Aspirin?
to have a drug.
They had to have a drug. They would just walk into a place. That's how addicts are. They walk in. Does anybody have a drug? Anything? Fucking acetaminophen or crack? What? It'll all work. I can't stay away from a drug.
But you know the way that you
He does really understand. You know what I mean? I questioned the depth of his understanding, but I regret that now.
solve the problem? Don't have them. If you don't have a taste for alcohol,
You mean just say no? Why didn't somebody else think of that?
I remember when I was going to school, college,
School, college. I remember, yes. School, college, those are the best years, weren't they?
I had a friend, he hated the taste of scotch, hated it. It was
Ugh.
like, but he wanted to develop it because socially he thought it was a good thing. You know, I'd sit down with the bankers and, you know, all the Wharton School of Finance, they want to have dinners with bankers, right? That's their big thing.
Yeah, yeah. And you don't want to have the martini guys. That's a stepping stone fucker. You want the scotch because you don't know what it tastes like or whatever. And that guy exploded.
And he developed a taste for scotch. And by the time he finished, he ended up being a very bad alcoholic. 20, 25 years later.
Maybe it wasn't the taste so much then. Maybe it was the volume.
He ended up being an alcoholic. And he,
I'm not laughing about the guy who became an alcoholic. I just don't believe the story.
couldn't stay away. I say the way you stay away, just don't drink. Just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, dummy. Just don't do it, stupid. The way you do it is don't do it. You dumb addicts.
Don't have it. If you don't have drugs, if you don't experience early on, you're not going to have a need for it. You're not going to have an addiction. If you don't drink alcohol, you're not going to have an addiction. You're not going to have this insatiable urge to have a drink.
Yeah, it just won't happen.
And I say that to people with your children. They ask me, what do you think of children? What do you tell them? I say, no drugs, no alcohol. I also say no cigarettes. Don't have the cigarettes. Don't have cigarettes.
Yeah, thank you. Don't have cigarettes. Just don't have them. You can smoke them, but don't have them. Don't have your way with a cigarette. You'll get tobacco all over your dick.
Don't have them.
Yeah, but the filter's too small anyways. But not, I mean, for me, maybe not for him.
I have friends that can't stop smoking.
Uh-huh. Maybe they're on fire?
If they never had a cigarette before, they'd have no problem. When I
In theory. I bet all of them just can't believe. Why didn't I think of that?
look at a friend that can't stop smoking, I don't understand why it's hard to stop, you know.
Yeah, because he understands addiction. I look at my friend who can't stop smoking. I don't understand why it's hard to stop. You know, because I understand addiction. What the fuck? If there's a better example that you don't fucking understand addiction, that's it.
Smoke all over the place. The fact is, if you never had a cigarette, I never had a cigarette.
This is fucking painful.
I have no urge to smoke. But if you are, you get addicted. It has something and you just can't stop.
Ah. So tell me more about this addiction thing. Most of my viewers are very unfamiliar with the concept of smoking. Is it? I see. Chapter 3. I apologize ahead of time. This guy's a dickhead. Good Lord. Here we are. Chapter 3 of Trump's Hannity interview.
All right, let's get right to part 3 of my interview with Donald Trump.
Yeah, let's not waste any more time. It's, yeah.
There's 2 issues we're going to talk about.
Hey, since you were so nice to solve alcoholism, tell us how to fix gambling, Mr. Own a Casino, Mr. Bankrupt a Casino. I think, if anything, you saved more people from getting addicted to gambling by bankrupting a casino. I think, wow, way to take one for the team.
One is what I think the Democrats are going to run on, and one I think are what the issues you will be running on.
Should. He means should. He's trying to... This is like the audience of one thing isn't working from the studio, so he's literally sitting him down trying to. This is an intervention. We're not watching an interview. We're watching an intervention. Part 3 of my intervention with Donald Trump.
Democrats, democracy in peril. January 6th. Abortion, abortion, abortion.
Yeah, like Ukraine, 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 Russia, Russia, Russia. Abortion, abortion, abortion.
All of these issues.
Oh, yeah.
And then, of course, we have this, with 153 days out of the election yesterday, Joe Biden, who'd been telling America that the border's closed and the border's secure for over 3 years, and his vice president said it.
No, he didn't say it was secure. He said it wasn't open. It's a cheap lie, but I'm not going to let it slide.
And his spokespeople had said it, and his Department of Homeland Security secretary said it. Then all of a sudden they wanted to blame Republicans. I don't have the power. Meanwhile, they did undo all of your policies with the
because they were based on the pandemic, and once the pandemic ends, so do the policies that were put in place under it, because it's a violation of international law to not do that. Now, right now, there'll be a temporary version of this. Biden can probably keep this going for 3-6 months, maybe at the max, but he's got to pass legislation because it's unconstitutional.
Stroke of a
long term. Like it's constitutional in the short term to deal with an emergency. It's not constitutional to do it for, as an executive order to close down the border. It doesn't work that way. You can't literally have the president in charge of large swaths of immigration with the stroke of a pen.
Now, finally, yesterday, he implemented a new policy. However, it's
meaningless.
2 million illegals a year.
Millions of people are allowed to come in. It's meaningless. It's a joke. Everybody knows it. Has nothing.
Oh, by the way, they think that the number that come to the border to be processed before they shut it down, that those people are automatically let in. That everybody who comes, the majority aren't. Somewhere in the order of 60% of the people who present themselves as asylum seekers, present themselves for, or are caught, are rejected immediately. The ones with asylum claims, one of the reasons why they stick around and why they're here for a long time is because you have to fix the asylum process so that you can send them back home if they're lying or they're obfuscating or it's not as serious as they say it is, because they take the spot of someone who is seeking asylum who is in danger of losing their life, as opposed to their livelihood.
Nothing to do with border security. And he didn't need anything from Congress. All he has to do is shut the border. You say, shut the border,
no, that's not how it works.
sign an order, and the border will close.
Bullshit.
I did it. We had the best border.
Under Title 42, which was related to the pandemic. It was literally a health emergency. You declared a health emergency, and you used that as the reason. Unless you want to keep all the pandemic, separation and all that shit. You want to bring back all the fucking sick, social distancing and all that shit, masking everywhere. You want to use that same, standard forever and just, assume everybody at the southern border is diseased and therefore we've got to act as if we're always under attack from a pandemic. Then say it.
Safest border in history. But your question is a large question because you're asking about a lot of things. Take abortion. For 52 years, people...
Oh, this is bullshit where he's like, people wanted it to go back to the state. Nobody wanted that. This is him blaming everybody else.
Wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade. And
no, they didn't.
The people that wanted to do it were legal scholars, lawyers, politicians. Everybody wanted it to go...
No, they didn't.
...back into the state system.
No. Like, anti-choice people wanted it that way because they had the most leverage there.
Not the federal system.
Let the states decide.
Let the states decide. The people...
Yeah, who gives a shit if a woman has fewer rights in some states than a man? Who gives a shit if a man can move to any state in the country and never lose a right, whereas women have to pick and fucking choose?
People decide. Let the states decide. For 52 years...
For women. Let the state decide for women.
Years they fought it. I was able to get it done with the appointment of great justices.
Who you were mad at for not putting you back in the White House.
3 great justices plus others that joined them, as you know. And
yeah, that was the Heritage Foundation's list and the same that you picked from to get your judges on Gorsuch and Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, as well as the federal judges that they gave you a list of because that's what their goal was.
I don't have to go into all the names, but they're great. And
you don't know them.
They had...
I would say if you really pressed him, he'd have a hard time remembering his Supreme Court justice.
Courage to end Roe v. Wade, which really meant, from a legal standpoint, it now goes back to the states. And now the states are deciding. And by the way, in many cases, like Ohio, it became, if you want to use the word liberal or progressive, it was more liberal or progressive than people would have thought. But
no, it wasn't. They tried to implement something. They thought they were going to be able to shove something through, and then it ended up on the ballot and they reversed it. That's not the same thing. And that's what's going to cost you these fucking states.
the people of Ohio decided. The people.
Right. They decided, and they're all of those people that decided this are the people who are going to vote for Biden in the fall to codify Roe v. Wade because they believe women should have the same right in Ohio that they have everywhere else. And, Marvin Marie is saying how the majority of fentanyl comes in through legal border crossings, FYI. Yes, that is true. Yeah, I was making a joke about him passing stuff through the slats in the wall because it's a slat fence, not a wall, but yeah.
People of Kansas decided. The people are now.
Yeah, Kansas also was like this. He's telling you about all the shocks where the right wingers thought they had a slam dunk. They passed a law inside, and then they had an emergency fucking election because businesses were going to leave the state and shit like that. So they had to put it up for a vote, and then the voters showed up and went, "Not here, motherfucker."
Deciding. And it's taken it off the shoulders of the federal government. Always they wanted it to be decided by
bullshit. And this is the whole thing. Like, again, all this is about, let me be abundantly clear. I cannot be clear about this. He now regrets this overturning of Roe v. Wade. He knows it's a fucked issue. He knows more than any other issue, it's going to cost him the election in the fall. He knows this. And so what he's trying to do is blame everybody else who talked him into this shit, because he does not give a fuck about these things. He has paid for abortions in the past. He used to outsource them to Elliot Broidy, who had to hide him from his fucking wife, and she found out about it. It almost cost him his fucking marriage. And he's like, these women, I didn't impregnate them. Trump did. I was just hiding this from his wife because of prenup shit or whatever. That he didn't give a fuck about this issue. Not really. And rich people can always afford to get an abortion. They can always fly to fucking Canada or the Virgin Islands or to Mexico and have one. They don't care. This is about like controlling women throughout the rest of the country. But he's now angry that these assholes talked him into this. And he wants it to be everybody's fault but his. Everybody wanted this. You can't be mad at me. Everybody had always said, all of them everywhere, always, all these people everywhere wanted this. I don't know. They asked me they made me do it. I just don't know. That's what he's talking about. This has nothing to do with him like taking credit for doing something the people wanted. He's literally outsourcing the blame for what he knows is going to be a fucked election.
The states, and Roe v. Wade didn't do that. It put it into the federal government. So now states are voting on it. And in many cases, it's more progressive.
One-on-one with former President Trump. In case you're watching in an airport, this makes sure that people don't go, what's he saying about abortion, this motherfucker?
Or I like the term liberal. You know, they want to get away from the word liberal, I guess. But
not me.
It's more liberal in many cases, not in all cases. In some cases, they're going the other direction.
Yeah, in some cases, they're going straight up Handmaid's Tale.
But the people are deciding. And in many ways, it's a beautiful thing to watch.
It's terrible.
So,
yeah, because you don't have to white knuckle as your rights are voted on, you dumb motherfucker.
They wanted to for 52 years.
No, and they made me do it, and it's not my fucking fault.
Move it back to the states. That's why they wanted to fight Roe v. Wade. Then about 10 or 12.
No, it isn't. No, it is not. The people who wanted to fight Roe v. Wade wanted to end abortion rights in the country. They also want to end contraception in the country. That's why. This was not a states' rights. This isn't fucking we're not having a Nikki Haley slavery moment, asshole.
12 years ago, it started getting more complex. They were talking about lots of different things. But remember this.
Were they? Like what? They were talking about lots of different things? What were they talking about?
The radicals, in many ways, are the Democrats of this issue because
they want to kill a baby after it's born, which is murder, and nobody wants to do that.
They want to have abortion be okay in the 8th month and the 9th month and even after birth.
No.
By the way, when you say that, you're talking about former Governor Northam.
Yeah.
Who said the baby will be born, and in that case, the baby will be born, the baby will be...
In that case, what case? In what case? What would that case be? I'll tell you what that case is. A baby born with no brain, no lungs, its heart attached to its rib cage, unable to beat, and the minute you cut the umbilical cord, it's going to start dying. And so the question is, you give birth to the baby, you can hold it in your arms and cry a little bit, but the second you cut the umbilical cord, that thing's going to start dying and you're going to watch it die. So you got to decide, do we want to give it morphine as it dies to try, because we don't know if it can feel any pain, but it's a horrible, horrible thing, or do we just want to set it on a fucking table and watch it stop breathing? That's what they're talking about.
Made comfortable, then the doctor and the baby will talk about it. I had Gavin Newsom debating Ron DeSantis on this very show.
Right, I watched.
And it took a long time to get Gavin to answer, will you support any restrictions in months 7, 8, or 9? And he, at one point, got annoyed because I kept going in for an answer. And the answer came back. He goes, that is a decision between a doctor and a patient and their conscience. That's it. That means to me no restrictions. I think the country...
Right. Because you can't kill a viable child. There's viability rules everywhere. That the doctor in that doctor will say, we can remove that child from your uterus. We can have a C-section. He will be born preemie if we try right now just to save your ability to have children in the future or to attempt to save the child. But if you go through with this pregnancy, it's going to die in the process or you are. That's the conversation they're having. These are women who've already decorated their fucking playroom. They've already picked what school they want this kid to go to.
Probably is around where Dobbs is, but the states will decide it, as you point out, because I do think it hurt the Republicans in 22.
It did. But I think the Republicans didn't know how to talk about the issue.
Yeah, this is the way you talk about the issue. Blame everybody else.
And when it came to things having to do with abortion, instead of saying the states will decide, it really hurt the Republicans. They didn't know how to talk about the issue.
Yeah, all they had to do was say the states will decide women's rights. And if a woman gets septicemia from an ectopic pregnancy, that's just God's will.
And now I think they're learning how to talk about it. And
oh, yeah, absolutely. They're saying, sometimes rape is a gift. That's what they're saying. Even when the girl is 12.
all they're going to do is say, and they can campaign one way or the other within the state. The states are all deciding right now
whether a woman is a second-class citizen or a regular citizen.
And I think it's working the way that people wanted it to work.
Yeah, the people who want to end abortion rights.
And it's going to bring the country together on...
No, it is not.
...on an issue that was very, very bad. But...
I got to say, like, do you know how fucking deluded you have to be to believe that this is going to be an issue that kumbayas everybody around the election? That people are going to go, you know what, I'm going to vote for this Trump guy because I think one of the things he did was, eliminating a woman's, national right to her own body and leaving it up to like right-wing nut jobs in red states that can probably pull her over if she's driving someplace pregnant and then go, you fill out this card, we need to track your pregnancy just because you're passing through the fucking state.
You mentioned about Gavin, I call him Gavin Newsom, because he's done a terrible job as
friend
governor.
of yours?
Yeah, another name.
By the way, $70 billion budget deficit.
Oh, no, he's done a terrible job in
What are you talking about? Trump added, $9 trillion to the national debt?
California, one of the most beautiful places environmentally.
Yeah, how did it get that way?
From a weather standpoint.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's no Florida. But...
the ocean, the whole thing. I have things in California. It's so beautiful. But the regulation in California is just incredible what they've
Yeah, it's almost like that's how we keep it beautiful.
Done to that state. I mean, it's just horrible. And now people are moving out as opposed to moving in. That never happened there. But, when you talk about the abortion, because it's an important thing to talk about, and a lot of people are afraid to talk about it, and a lot of politicians are destroyed talking about it.
Like you?
But like the exceptions, I like the three exceptions.
I like them.
And you have the three exceptions.
Yeah, it's like the three seashells in Demolition Man.
Rape, incest, mother's life.
Correct. And you have the three.
Right, that's why the last 3 months especially, because that's where the mother's life comes into play.
Exceptions. And I think people, they have to follow their heart. They have to, do what's right before their God, if they're religious people, but they have to follow their heart. And I happen to believe, like Ronald Reagan was very strong on the three exceptions.
Yeah, almost all presidents have, until you put people in the Supreme Court who are against all of those. I don't care what you're for. You've punted it back to the states, motherfucker. I don't even know why you're talking about it.
And I think you should do that. At the same time, you have to follow your heart. But what's happening is everybody agrees pretty much that in the 8th,
pretty much,
9th, and beyond, I mean, beyond is really an execution. We're not even talking about the word abortion. We're talking about an execution.
Infanticide.
And the former governor.
Infanticide. That's what Sean had. I mean, let's just be honest. This is just a blood libel on women.
Not the current governor, who's doing a very good job, by the way. He's doing a very Youngkin, doing a very good job.
A very Youngkin?
But the former governor.
Is that the name of his sitcom or his autobiography?
Before him said,
A Very Youngkin Christmas.
You lay the baby down and you decide with the mother what to do. The baby's born. That's an execution. I think everybody knows that in the 8th month and the...
I mean, this is just cruel. It's gross.
9th month and beyond that, I mean, hard to believe. They have some states passing legislation...
Bullshit.
Where you can execute the baby after birth.
Bullshit. No, they don't. No, they don't. They absolutely don't. Yeah. Name one. Fucking one. I mean, this is insanity. All of this is fucking insanity. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Right. Because you're fucking crazy. This is nonsense.
It's like so many other things. Open borders.
Yeah, it is. That's bullshit, too.
Crazy. Men playing in women's sports. Crazy.
Right. Trans women aren't men.
So I think the Republican...
They might be biologically male, and there might be issues with it, and you might have a transitory period wherein they have to be taking hormones for a certain amount of time, or they have to have started them at a certain time before they start playing, so that they don't benefit from the greater, lung capacity and heart size and muscle density and bone density that you would have if you're a male and those kind of things. That's a conversation worth having. But you are too stupid to have it.
Party has done an amazing job in certain ways, but they've never understood how to talk about, and I agree with you, it's hurt the Republican Party. It's hurt some people.
Now.
Exception.
In the last election since you did it, and it's going to get worse.
This is very important. I believe that. But what we did is we took Roe v. Wade out of the federal government, put it in the states, and now the people are deciding. And in some cases, not everybody's happy, but the people are...
Yeah, mostly women.
Deciding. And I said...
And the men who love them.
They let the states decide. This is every legal scholar wanted...
Bullshit.
This to be where abortion should be. And I've been following the issue very closely, but over the years I've followed it less closely.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I paid for one outright.
But I always noticed that they always wanted to move it back to the states.
No, you didn't.
Everybody.
Nonsense.
And I was able to do that, and it's
gibberish.
All happening, and it's happening correctly. And I wish that Republicans could talk about it correctly, and if they would, you'd see it's a very different issue. And remember, they're not really the radical ones. The radical ones are the ones that...
No restrictions.
9th month, after birth, you can execute the baby.
Yeah, you can't execute babies. Yeah, I'm just saying, for the record, if anybody's watching this fucking lunatic, I'm just letting you know you can't execute a baby. That's just plain old murder.
Those are the radicals, and those are the liberals and the progressives, and nobody wants to see that.
Liberals and progressives are not for assassinating babies after they have been born. You once a child is born, your option is raise it or adoption, I suppose. But you don't get a say. It's been given birth to. That's again the fact that this motherfucker let him get away with it. And then I think there's do we do chapter 4 on this shit? Yeah. Okay. This is the last one. If you mind if I hang with you for a second and finish this one? guys, since we started off a little bumpy. Here we go. This is the final.
And here is part 4 of my interview with former President
Chapter 4. A new dope.
Donald Trump. Take a look. Let me ask you this. Wall Street
Can you kick my ass?
Journal, big article. Democrats are worried. You keep reading. Democrats are in a state of panic. Democrats are in a state of panic.
Yeah, not really. No.
And now it's something that we have covered at length on this program, and that is Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Now,
I would say person in the booth. Don't cut to his face when you say that, because Trump is mortally afraid of his own decline. Look at his face. When you even bring it up, it panics him. Look at him.
how Democrats are saying it, and they're saying it out loud. And
he's literally falling asleep.
let me play you a clip of Joe and get your reaction to it, and then I'm going to butt it together with a different.
Yeah, let me play. I mean, there's a lot you can play. Obviously, there's
Look, Christopher Columbus, Christopher. Michigan gave us Motown. Gave us Motown, gave us the Mustang.
Action replays in magnified fortune.
Dumps. They call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Here I am like an idiot. The Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese.
okay, something like that.
Different Joe. I called him the night after a State of the Union address, jacked up Joe. Maybe he had a lot of Red Bull or Monster Energy drink.
Or something.
Or something. Take a look.
I've been a senator since I was 29 years old. Never left government. The fall, he decided to, look, I shouldn't get into this probably. Never forget, America is the strongest when we lead not only by our example of our power, but by the power of our example.
What's wrong with that?
You can clap for that. As President Lincoln said,
So you can clap for that. It's fine, because they're not supposed to.
we'll never forget
Why is a cough a big deal?
lying around. And him lying around, actually. They're trying to erase black history. We're going to write black history because it's American history. A memorial.
Why is that wrong? They're trying to erase black history. We're trying to write black history because it's American history. Like, for example, he has the first woman of color as his VP. See what that? I can understand why it upsets Sean Hannity.
Day, I proudly stood with a black man.
And?
Just checking this afternoon. Good afternoon. Will not bring Israel.
Yeah, it was literally like 11:58 when he walked out. Who cares? Jesus Christ. I would like to remind everyone that Trump said, well, how about... Well, shit. How about this one? What, you think Sean Hannity's going to play this?
Heard that Saudi Arabia and Russia will repeat your...
What is that?
Our army manned the airport. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do.
And will not will only bog down Israel and Gaza.
Right. So what? Again, these are just like flubs on a teleprompter.
He can do things with his tongue you wouldn't believe it. Purge the anti-Semitism and pro-terrorism. What you're doing. Peace through strength on the earth beyond. We are going to be a country no more. I actually think it will not. It will be a country no more.
Is Steny here?
Well, again, why are you cutting? What's the fact that he's wearing a fucking helmet?
Where's Steny Hoyer? Steny
I hear
Hoyer.
him in the back. He's over by the beer.
Well, Steny Hoyer lives on the western shore of Delaware in Maryland. The thing about, let me put it this way. I remember when I was vice president and things weren't going too well. I inherited economies on
What was wrong with that?
the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. Too many
It is.
corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations that engage in price gouging and deceptive pricing. Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class. Wages keep going up. Inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9%.
Oh my God! So what they're doing is basically contrasting the State of the Union with his other speeches that he does like midday at these like little side, regular presidential things where you give a short speech about shit, but you're not selling your policies or any of that stuff. Like, it's just lame. This is what you called it. Like, this would be a Gish Gallop montage.
To 3%, the lowest in the world and tending lower.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you a question right now. Please don't show everyone what a fucking lunatic you are after I just played those clips.
Most days, you see Joe struggling. Now Democrats are saying it. But State of the Union, we saw a very different, in my view, Joe. Maybe just Red Bull. I don't know. I'm not going to make any allegations, but it's certainly.
What drug cures dementia even temporarily? I'm serious. There aren't any. There are no drugs that you can take that temporarily reverse dementia. There might be ones that wake you up if you're tired, and he might use those things sparingly for specific times. He's not guzzling caffeine or fucking Diet Cokes all goddamn day because eventually you get to burnout. But there are no drugs that you can take that can Adderall won't do it. Adderall and Ritalin will both make people with dementia get anxious. They will give you anxiety because all it makes you, is focus you on, you become more aware of your heartbeat and all kinds of shit like that. You get like upset. If you give somebody with dementia those drugs, they get fucking frightened.
Was not the normal Biden. How significant an issue is this?
Well, considering the fact that Biden's in these middle of the day kind of things, and some of them are early morning, or he's been up all fucking night talking to Israel and other places, and he's doing these things on like 5 hours sleep, I give a fuck. But when he saves up his energy to give a speech at the State of the Union, I think that's it's a good use of his time and focus in terms of making a speech. The rest of the time, I don't give a shit. The question I have is that if you'll notice, the State of the Union happened at night, if you'll recall. And none of Donald Trump's speeches are happening at night anymore. The debate will. And I think the scariest thing for him right now is that the debate is going to happen in the evening after the sun has gone down.
Look, we are.
Because I don't think he could sit here and have this conversation.
Right. We're at the most dangerous point in the history of our country.
What, he couldn't sit here and just fart out talking points that make no sense and are disjointed and slathered together in a kind of vitriolic wine fest?
Because of the power of weaponry, nuclear weapons in particular, weapons that are so powerful
What are these nuclear weapons you're talking about? As a Gen Xer, I've never heard about them.
I've seen the effects and...
No, you have not. You've seen the opening of fucking Terminator 2.
I had an uncle, a great professor at MIT for many years. We used to talk about nuclear a lot.
Did you? You just sit down and talk about nuclear a lot? Did you? Yeah, you did. You just kind of sit back and he'd have a scotch and you'd have a ginger ale and you'd sit there and talk about nuclear and you'd what, boss him around and tell him how much you know about nuclear and you're smarter about nuclear than he is?
Understood nuclear very well.
Listen to this shit again.
At MIT for many years, we used to talk about nuclear a lot. He understood nuclear very well.
Bombs, energy, the binding aspects of atomic power in general.
And even then, that was many years ago.
Yeah, back then when they were coal-fired nuclear bombs.
My father,
before drugs existed.
His brother, Dr. John Trump, And I think he was the longest serving.
Your uncle. The word is uncle. You had an uncle. Your father's brother that's what an uncle is. You had an uncle. Your Uncle John. Just say uncle. We know what will infer that he was your father's brother. Perhaps he was your mother's brother. He was your paternal uncle, if that helps you, as opposed to your maternal uncle. But just uncle will suffice.
Professor in the history of MIT, I think 41 years, very smart. We used to talk about nuclear, and he used to talk about the power of nuclear, and I'd say, Uncle John, you're not. We're a briefcase the size of a regular briefcase would do damage to I don't even want to discuss.
Oh, fine. Oh, fine. You discuss it with your Uncle John, but you won't discuss it with the human thumb, Sean Hannity. How do you think that makes him feel? First, you say pinhead right in front of him and think he's not going to notice, and then you won't talk nuclear with him the way you did with your father's brother, John. In a suitcase, you're drunk. Nobody could fit a bomb that bad in nuclear. I've never heard anything like that, except in every action terrorism movie since 1982.
And we're a long way from that in terms of the advancement of that technology, and it's very bad, very scary.
Yeah, it's not even in a suitcase anymore. Like the suitcases have gotten so small, it's like a Barbie suitcase. And always beware a sweaty guy who looks Middle Eastern carrying a Barbie suitcase, refusing to laugh at bomb jokes as he goes through TSA. Obviously bad news. Very scary, very scary.
And I will tell you, we have a chance of going into World War III because of our leader. So I don't want to get into what state he's in. You know, it's
you do all the time. You constantly are saying he can't put two sentences together. And by the way, can I just tell you, they had to cut that shit so tight in that montage they had to avoid two sentences in a row.
In one way, it's not something for me to talk about.
You talk about it all the time.
I can tell you this.
Nuclear, so bad.
President Xi of China, Putin, Kim Jong-un, all of these leaders are at the top of their game.
No, they are not.
Mentally, they're at the top of their game.
No, they are not. Just because they're as dumb as you are doesn't mean they're at the top of their game. It shows you how stupid they actually are that you think, wow, this guy's almost as smart as I am.
Game. And they're dealing with somebody that's not at the top of his game. And honestly, he never was. He was never the brightest bulb.
And you were.
And everybody understands
Thank
that.
you,
Everybody
Just
knows
Another
that.
Human.
You look at his foreign policy.
Thanks for the super chats, by the way. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I should have said that. I should have said that earlier. I should have done that. I didn't do it. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. You can Patreon for the whole year or in one fell swoop, or you can do it monthly, and you can start out free, which doesn't get you anything. But there's a free comedy show every month for all of our Patreon people when I do it. Like the next one's on the 26th. It's 2 weeks from Wednesday at Flappers, and because I was doing Fridays, but they're busy and I'm booked, and I've got to go. We've got sexy liberal shows, and I got to travel on the Friday, so it's on a Wednesday this month. But it's a free show for all our Patreon people if you do that. Otherwise, you guys are just paying to help keep the show on the air and supporting us, and I appreciate that more than you could ever possibly know. I adore you and thank you. And hit the like. Do all the free stuff if you can't afford to support the show. That was pretty good. I did that. I got it.
Policy over the years, it was always wrong. You look at all of the things, you look at his crime bill in the 1990s, how horrible that was to...
Fuck you.
Certain groups of people.
Certain groups of people. Okay. For the last time, not the last time, obviously, I'm going to definitely have to say this before. Mass incarceration in the United States was not caused by the fucking crime bill. All the black mayors in the country supported the crime bill. What caused the rise in incarceration specifically in the United States, the direct linkage, not causality, but causation, or not correlation, but causation, was the fingerprint system going nationwide and everybody being connected to it. Every little sheriff's department and state police department having a direct linkage to tracing fingerprints across the national database. That happened from 93 to 99. It was basically finished around 99. It had nothing to do with minimums either. Minimums were exactly that. They were that affected the number of people who were in jail 3 to 5 years. Had nothing to do with the people who were in there for 40 fucking years. That's not the same thing. And the other thing was VICAP, the Violent Criminal Apprehension System. Like that system being in place made it so that the Ted Bundys of the world couldn't just murder in one state, jump to another state, use a different ID, and move to the next one, because they would keep track of not just the criminals themselves, but the crimes and all of their aliases and all that shit. You got it? Okay. Period. End of story. It's not even debatable. There's no question in this. This myth that the crime bill did it is fucking ridiculous. It was that affected state systems and state courts to some degree. And it was largely about like lower end broken windows kind of crimes and small level violent crimes. But the bigger capacity, the reason why there's like why we ballooned the capacity of federal penitentiaries and state penitentiaries was specifically because of VICAP and the fingerprint system. They all went online from 93 to 99. That's why. Look at the numbers. And then, bing, yeah, once they started DNA checking everybody and you're like, oh, you didn't just rape somebody here, you raped 65 other people. That's why.
He was never great at what he did.
And he was, he was great at, I will say this, say what you will about Joe Biden, and obviously he's not our most masterful orator or whatever, but he kicked your sorry ass. Wow.
He did it because he was hale and hearty and well met. And I have a real problem. I love this country. I don't want to see this country get into a nuclear war.
Well, isn't it too late, I guess? What do you think he's going to, if he wants to do it, wouldn't he just trigger it before you took office just to fuck with you, I guess?
And be so badly
he's got grandchildren that he actually loves. I don't think he does either.
Damaged. What we say won't matter. This won't matter. This place won't matter. Nothing will matter because practically nothing's going to be here anymore. The level of power, of power with the weapons and the weapon.
Okay, this is also a Kremlin talking point, real quick. This is a Kremlin talking point. This is him specifically. This is him repeating a Kremlin talking point that he's getting from somewhere, either directly or indirectly through, Jason Miller or Stephen Miller and one of his handlers, or directly from the Kremlin itself. I wouldn't doubt that in his conversations with them previous, that if you guys don't let us attack, we're going to nuke everybody. Hold on one moment. I shall be just 1 second. There's a knock at my...
Things are breaking down. Something is wrong with the picture of sound. We'll be right back just as soon as we can. We appreciate your patience. Baby, you lit the can. Hanging in there. We'll be right back. It's not easy doing shows like this. Cut me some slack. I think I know the problem. It just isn't fair, but I know that I can fix it and be back on the air. I know the problem, and it just isn't fair. But I know that I can fix it and be back on the air. Pardon my dust.
momentary thing with the thing, it's the family and the thing, so it's totally fine. All right. Finishing up, everybody was tapping their watch at me, like, yeah. Did I binge a loaf? No, I did not. My son had a question and an issue with the internet. So here we go.
That's real weaponry. That's worse than the weaponry that we were talking about a little while ago. This is the ultimate. This is obliteration. Maybe world obliteration.
Is there another kind? Is there like neighborhood obliteration?
And we have a man that is not capable of even discussing it.
Well, aren't you supposed to not talk about it? I thought you weren't even supposed to say the same name.
Talked the other night about that nuclear doesn't matter so much. What matters is, think of this, global warming. The only global warming that matters to me is nuclear global warming.
What an idiot.
Because that's the real deal. He said it's an existential threat. He loves the words existential threat. That global warming is an existential threat.
Yes, it is. Do you understand what that means?
And he doesn't know why. What is it? It's weather?
Fuck. It sounds like you have a hard time grasping that.
And I'm all for that. You know what? I'm in a certain way, in a very powerful way, I'm an environmentalist. I want clean air, I want clean water.
Yeah, but only up to a certain amount.
But this is not the existential threat.
You want it voluntarily. If a company wants to keep the air and water clean, that's fine.
Tomorrow, we could have a war that will be so devastating that you can never recover from it. No,
that's true of everybody.
Nobody can. The whole world won't be able to recover.
Right, so why would it start? Who the fuck is going to start this war? And even if like you're talking about suitcase bombs earlier, how the fuck, what's the retaliation for a suitcase bomb even fucking look like? What do you think, we're just going to nuke the world if somebody sets one off in one of our major cities? Is that how you would respond? Let me get this straight. So this is how we actually think shit works. So somebody, God forbid, smuggles a nuke in a suitcase bomb into New York City and sets it off in Manhattan, and it destroys what's effectively like 20 city blocks and partially irradiates the idea. Doesn't work like a big nuclear warhead, but it's damaging certainly and pretty awful. And so what will he do? Nuke the entire world to get back at whoever was holding the bomb when it went off?
From it. And he's talking about something in 400 years from now, the oceans will rise by 1/8 of an inch. Look.
Fuck you.
We have a man that shouldn't be doing this job. He's not qualified.
Yes, the unqualified, doddering old fart that kicked your ass.
Not mentally sharp enough. And I don't believe he was 20 years ago either. They can show me clips. Take a look at the clips.
Well, then how did he beat you in the fucking debates? Hands down.
How he did 20 years ago. His level of hatred for me is incredible.
Yeah, but he's got daughters, so.
All I'm trying to do is lay out the facts. Lay out the facts. We have to have somebody that's sharp and strong.
Granddaughters.
Viktor Orban, who's a very strong kind of a guy, I guess.
Kind of a guy, I don't know.
Call him a strong man. Oh, Trump I don't like strong men or hate strong men. He's leading a country. He's a strong leader. He's the prime minister of Hungary. He said the only way we're going to solve the problems of the world, you got to bring Trump back.
Yeah, he's also the only member of the European Union that is still working with China on the Belt and Road Initiative. Literally, after Italy backed out, he's the only one still working with China. That must be a sign of strength. That has to be a sign of strength. How could he not? Because obviously she's at the top of his game. By the way, the game is tiddlywinks.
China was afraid of him. Russia was afraid of him. Look, I ended the Russian pipeline, Nord Stream 2, before
The Russians aren't afraid of Orban.
I came in, even you. Nobody ever heard of Nord Stream 2. I said, they're building Nord Stream 2. Everyone said, what is that? It's the biggest pipeline in the world going to Germany. So
no, it isn't.
We're protecting Germany, and Germany's paying billions of dollars a month to Russia for energy. And I also said it's bad for Germany because if they ever do end up with a war, which they have many times, they'll turn off the juice and Germany doesn't have a chance. That's when I gave Angela Merkel a white flag. Do you remember? I sent over a white flag at a table.
No, he didn't. He waved a napkin.
She said,
because a general told him this.
What is it? That's the flag of surrender. So we need a president that's sharp and that's respected. And we're closer to World War III. Now, you take a look at what's happened in the last few days. Putin is now talking about nuclear weapons for the first time. I mean, he's talking about them all the time.
He's talked about them before.
Because Ukraine is now talking about hitting Russia.
They have been hitting Russia.
And Biden doesn't know what the hell to say. But all of these things, they're going to end up leading to World War III.
Well, then say it. What would you say? What would you say to the two of them? Don't fire into Russia, and don't use nukes. But you can do all the fighting in Ukraine. Russia can fire weapons from Russia into Ukraine, but Ukraine can't fire weapons from Ukraine into Russia because I'm scared.
I'll get the Ukrainian situation settled, and I'll get it settled fast. It would have never happened. The other thing that would have never happened is the October 7th attack of Israel. Would have never happened. And you know what else? I'll add something else that wouldn't have happened. Inflation. We have the worst.
Well, yeah, if the economy had stayed shitty, we would never had. Well, you wouldn't have cut off the supply of military and technological gear to China, so that we wouldn't have had these issues with them that would have jiggered the supply chain. So that would be the thing, I guess.
Inflation, maybe in the history of our country. Far worse than they report.
It was 1.4%.
Because when you add interest rates and when you add energy.
It was 1.4%, which is under 2% because it was falling, because you were getting in deflationary territory because the fucking economy was crashing.
Prices. Look at the energy. By the way, gasoline prices are going way up again.
Nope. No, not actually. Hold on one second. Let's see. And gas prices, oil futures. Let's see. Crude oil. There we go. There we go. Dink. Let's see. The change. It was plus 81 cents. Open, high, low, 74. So yeah, we're down near 73. Yeah. Here's crude oil. It was 80 a month ago. Now it's 74, 75, 75, 75, 72, do I hear 73, do I hear 72, 75, what is it? 75, 76, it was 68. There we go. 75, 72 overall. Let's see, these are the futures prices. Let's see, should there, I'd love to have a chart. There you go, flip charts. Oh, I gotta use the thing, I gotta do that. Back up. Go back here. Go back there. Let's see. Crude oil futures, basic free life, natural gas, gas, oil, silver. I'm going to go energy, Bloomberg. I'll go to there, see if they got this. There you go. It's hugely up today. 18 cents, I think, is the price that's up today. God damn. A lot of pages out here. Come here, you. Yeah, here we go. Break this off. Ta-da! Okay. Crude oil, natural gas. WTI crude oil is $75.73 a barrel. Let's see. I wish there was is there a chart on this shit? Try the thing I'm gonna do. There we go. There's the price. This is today. Let's see, a month. Oh, hey, look at that. It's going way up. Yeah, it's yeah. Bounced back about $1. Yeah, a little, like $1.50. And down from 79.81. There we go. Let's see what's 6 months like. Yeah, it peaked in April, and then going back down. This was the OPEC plus limiting supply. This all period right here, and then this is where it peaked, and then it started to come down. Even though they did it, and they just announced that they're gonna start tapering them off in October, and then it ate shit.
When you add all of this in, I think it's the worst inflation we've ever had. And our country has become...
Yeah, it's not inflation, it's supply shock. It's not monetary inflation.
Sean, a failing nation.
You say declining nation.
I say declining or failing.
So let me go back.
Yeah, declining, failing, or declining. It's the same thing. It's just shit without me. I am America.
To the foreign
I say
policy.
A lot of things about it, but it's whatever I say about it, it's real bad.
About that. But let me stay focused for just a second, if I may.
No, you may not.
On the issue of we have war in Europe, we have war in the Middle East. And
oh dear.
We have the Iranians, according to reports, even the IAEA, may be very close to nuclear weapons. That should scare everybody, because they're crazy enough that I think they would.
Yeah, if only we had a president who hadn't shut down the nuclear deal that was preventing them.
They would use them. And precarious situation, more dangerous, than, I think, than at any
Most
point.
dangerous time in the history of our country.
I would agree.
Nah.
Agree.
Nope.
And so my question.
No. Obviously, height of the Cold War, we were on the brink of like mutual destruction several times.
To you is, if you are
Bay of Pigs, anyone? I mean,
elected, and you are the next president, the 47th president, how do you begin the process?
Oh, I get it done so fast.
Of restoring
so fast. I wouldn't even have to. I would use my brain rate. The same like psychic power I use to declassify documents. I would immediately make everyone get diarrhea whenever they hear the word nuclear, just like I do.
World order. Now, one other thing. I never thought in my lifetime I would listen to a president of our country, a leader of the free world, literally tell a country that was attacked by radical Islamic terrorists that, oh, we'll support your defense, but we won't support you fighting back after the Iranians fired weapons into their country.
What are you talking about? We helped stop those weapons from hitting Israel.
To me, that was a surrender in the war on terror, or trying to lecture Israel, oh, you can't go to Rafah, you can't do this. Okay, excuse me. How would we act if we lost what would be by population?
No, the question isn't how would we act. If we acted well, we'd be fine. It's how would he overreact?
Extrapolated out 40,000 Americans in a day.
So, number one, they have to finish the job.
Finish the job. Hey there, uncommitted. Hey, all those people who want to, what's the phrase? Hold Biden's feet to the fire. This is your alternative. There's only two people who are running who are going to be in office. One of them is the guy who built a pier so that they could get aid to the Palestinians while the war is happening, because we do not control that other country. And this guy who says you have to finish the job.
Israel has to finish that job. They have to finish it quickly.
Finish it quickly. Stop telling them you're going to hit a building and just hit it.
Strongly, and they have to get back to life again.
Yeah, just kill everybody and go back to just pretend nothing ever happened.
Because it's taking too long.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's just, he's just losing patience with it. You know what I mean?
To finish the job.
You're saying go in.
It's taking too long to finish the job.
Win and finish.
You gotta win.
Yeah, what does win look like? Define win. Yeah, win sounds great. Win's a great word. I love win. Fantastic.
Win.
What does that mean?
Attack on October 7th, and it's getting more and more demeaned. They're demeaning it. I have people now telling me they don't think the attack ever happened.
Yeah, who? Jason Miller?
And take a look. You watch the news reports
I have the
where
50
people that are
minutes of video.
protesting. Sure, I know you do, and so do I. But here's the thing. You watch these people on television, and then there's, just like you have Holocaust deniers also. They say the Holocaust never took. It's
Yeah, we know Stephen Miller. He works for you.
the exact same people. They're saying it never happened. AOC +3. Israel was the most powerful lobby in the country 15 years ago. Today, between Tlaib and AOC and all of these people, what they're doing, Israel, they don't have the backing that they once had.
You'll give it to them.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good. Whatever they want to do, I'll just look the other way.
Good. But they don't have the backing. Even...
Well, not to just blanketly murder people.
Schumer has become like a Palestinian.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Schumer has become a Palestinian. Motherfucker.
Chuck Schumer, Jewish. Oh.
This is good stuff. This is finally some clear-eyed, level-headed analysis.
We're strong for Israel. He's become like a Palestinian.
He called for elections in the middle of a war.
Yeah, it's a very bad thing. It's a very sad thing, and it's a very dangerous thing. But if you look, so many people I watch on your show where they're going and interviewing these people that are protesting just recently at Columbia and the different places. They say, we don't believe October 7th ever happened. And they may believe that, they may actually believe that, but they have to get the job done. They have to.
They may believe that, but yeah, they have to get the job done. What's the job? Killing everyone in Gaza.
To get in there, they have to get it done.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
That's it. That's the... And Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to a close on this lovely Thursday evening. I adore you. I wish I could squeeze you all into one pretty woman, and if you come back to my office, I'll try. I appreciate the super chats today and the support. Thank you. The Venmo is always there if you want to use it to support the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Thank you, patrons, for allowing us to be on the air, because you are the rock on which we build this show, and it means a lot. And take care of yourselves, and I will see you guys tomorrow for Friday Eye with our dear friend Rob Glenn. Boy, do I have a bunch of stuff to talk over with him. Holy shit. I really do feel like half of my week is spent looking at this sort of like Cro-Magnon back and forth between Trump and like Neanderthals and Homo erectus. I would be the latter. They would be the former. You're welcome. And then I spend the rest of my time looking at like the technological advances that are happening right now. And holy shit, like it's so weird because there's so much shit going on, and yet a good portion of it, our world's going to be like unrecognizable in a couple of years. So in a good way, So anyways, love you guys. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I hope this button works. Hit the like, folks. Thanks so much. See you next time.